Okay, here we go. Broadcasting live, this is KMA Talk Radio. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of fine cigars. With your hosts, Honest Abe and Adam K. the Brewmeister. Listen to the show anywhere in the free world at KMATalkRadio.com.
I like to smoke them like some Winston Churchill, like John Kennedy, yeah. Remember Coach Red Auerbach, smoked up for victory, yeah. Well, you can take my wife, you can take my car, but you can't take my big cigar. My cigar.
Good morning, loyal listeners, libertarians, lovers of the leaf, everyone out there in Radio Land. Welcome to another exciting edition of KMA Talk Radio, broadcasting live in lovely West Palm Beach, Florida. I am Adam K. the Brewmeister on this, the 13th of July. With me, of course, it feels like that. All of them bleed together eventually. The months of summer. How can you go wrong? With me, of course, Mr. Honest Abe.
Good morning.
And Paul, the producer.
Hi.
Hi, Paul. And, so welcome. Happy to be here.
We're just starting over again, pretending that it's working again. It seems fine now. We're having some kind of issue, so we're back.
Thanks, Mark Zuckerberg. I blame you.
Yeah, we'll get it right one day.
Well, that's what we say anyway.
Well, let's talk about the winners, because that's not going to be live now, so
okay.
We can go ahead and just
So I'll go ahead and say
that.
thanks to James Lay, who won the Zycar Poll of the Week. 40% of you said Jimmy Fallon was your favorite late-night television show, and why?
Which you were very upset by.
Yes.
Why? Who's yours?
Oh, it's for just great for news content, Seth Meyers. For entertainment, James Corden.
Interesting.
Yes, absolutely. If you haven't seen any of the things that either of those guys are doing, they pick them up on YouTube because all of it's over there, and they're doing some great content. Seth breaks down the news better than stuff going on politics-wise, anything else better than anybody else. Not to mention he does a lot of great live shows, especially after each of one of the debates that they had for the Democrats. Did the show live after the debates, had a lot of great content, feedback, and just points, just hilarious stuff.
Who's yours?
I don't really watch late night, but I like Conan.
Is he still around?
Yeah.
He's doing a 30-minute show now.
Really?
Yeah, apparently he did a phenomenal show on Thursday night because Kumail Nanjiani canceled at the last minute on him. So basically he had no guest, and he only does one guest now for his 30-minute show.
That's a great way to start a show.
Yeah, so basically he was like old Conan at his best, like back when the writer's strike happened. Conan did some of his best work ever. Like those Conan on writer's strike episodes are amazing.
I didn't know you were that into late night talk show hosts.
Oh, Letterman was my guy.
He doesn't sleep. He's got to have something to do.
Well, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I guess so. All right.
Ever since Letterman left, it's been a little hole in my heart.
Fair game.
Yeah. Come back, Dave. Even though you're on Netflix, it's still not the same.
Well, if you're joining us, welcome to a very special edition of KMA Radio. We have a very interesting show for you today, also with limited interruptions and a new starting late format. But it's all going to be an awesome show today.
Just because we had the technical issues, if you want to share the post and let your friends know that we're back live now, that would be great. But it looks like we're almost back to where we were when we started. So
good.
Okay,
sorry about that.
Yeah.
So what's this week's question? Because we
this
had
week's
a big
question
debate
is,
over it, and we ended up leaving.
Yes. Would you attend the PCA event known as Cigar Con? Basically, that's the big thing, point of contention going on in the cigar industry this week has been the name change, the PCA, Cigar Con, and everything surrounding it. So would you go to Cigar Con? Would you attend? Would you spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars?
Well, if
maybe
you're
thousands.
If you're nowhere near Vegas, it's going to run you thousands. I don't think you're flying to Vegas, getting a hotel stay, entering the event, and going to get away with.
I mean, you could stay at the Excalibur and get $60 a night.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you still got to fly out there.
But we'll
That's
get
the
more
hard
into
part.
the logistics of it. But as a consumer, we're curious. Is that something that because I had a little social media going back and forth this week because people want it. No one's talking for the side of the consumer, so he's like, I wish somebody would take our feelings into consideration, which was a whole conversation I had, and we'll get into that later on in the show when Dave's on.
Right. Yes, Dave Garofalo of Two Guys Smoke Shop will be here to talk about his thoughts on the PCA. He had a very poignant statement that he made last week.
Man, press release.
Yeah, a press release.
Yeah.
That he made on his radio show about never going to the
Well, he just said no to the PCA in 2020.
Yes.
And that was pretty much it. And Dave has been a predominant and actually an industry leader now for a very long time in the cigar industry with shops up in New Hampshire and online presence. And he also does have a manufacturing side. So uniquely, he has some brands that he wholesales and distributes, and he has a unique perspective because his perspective obviously are
From both sides.
Both sides.
Yeah.
A retailer and a consumer, as a retailer and a manufacturer. So
And
very interesting.
And he is someone who has served on the board of the IPCPR.
Yes, we served together actually.
And TAA.
I did my 3-year tour of duty on the board, and I had the pleasure of sitting on the board at the same time with Dave.
Has been a speaker at the IPCPR. Was on a panel with you one year.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yes, we did a panel. Michael Herklotz, Dave, myself, I think it was Jeff Borschwitz.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Herklotz did the...
Oh, no, he was the MC.
He was the MC,
He was the MC, that's right.
Herklotz was the MC, and it was Dave,
He was
you, and
fielding
Jeff.
the questions for us.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, good memory.
Yeah, well, I was there. It was in Vegas last time we were there, I believe.
I know I don't go that much. I mean,
What's that? 4 years ago?
Well, I mean, look, it's one of the things that's kind of funny is everybody's kind of acting like this is like new news, but retailers have been slowly not going to the trade show for decades. I think in the last 10 years may have gone 2-3 times.
Wow. Okay. Orlando, Vegas, New Orleans, Vegas.
Was that all in 10 years, New Orleans?
That was, and I think another Vegas. So
No.
I've been.
Oh, yeah. Did I ever send you without me?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's what it
Yeah,
is. Yeah, I
yeah.
personally have only been there 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
in the last
You went to
10 years.
Vegas without him?
Yes.
I want to see Adam in Vegas. Do you enjoy it like a
Adam-
normal person, or
Adam
are you
becomes very more human-like after imbibing some bourbon.
bourbon and then he gambles, right? I mean, he's a poker player.
No.
No,
You can't play. I cannot go to play poker in a casino because literally you're just sitting down with all these degenerates and it just takes too long. My go-to in Vegas.
Wait, so what's the difference between where you go to play poker now?
Because what's the difference is typically when you're playing in a casino, you're playing with a bunch of strangers, right?
Right.
It's different than like when we have a weekly game.
He
and we're
knows
playing
these
with,
guys.
Yeah, we play with the same 10 or
Yeah.
a variation of 20
Okay.
different guys
And-
every week. It's more entertainment than when you're sitting with 10 guys you don't know and no one's really
And,
talking.
and you're literally sitting down and you don't know how long you're going to stay there, and it's just an ongoing thing and just going. My go-to in Vegas is roulette.
Really?
Yeah.
Roulette. I mean,
Yeah.
it's fun because it's kind of
You're listening
interactive
to-
with all the people and whatnot.
Mhm.
So, which is strange that you like that because it is a very interactive game. It's a very social game. Everybody that's involved in it kind of likes to, party and have fun. But
Really, I don't really talk to people when I'm playing roulette.
Really?
I just-
I think you're confusing roulette with craps.
Yeah.
no. I mean, I can't play
craps is
craps. I don't know how to play it. My
Craps
wife
is a
does.
more social game. Yeah.
I think roulette is.
No.
What do I know?
Yeah.
No,
No,
I play blackjack.
No, you got to bet the
You know
outsides
Daddy
and bet
Daycare,
the
that's what you
bottom.
know.
Yeah, that's true.
So true.
Daddy Daycare.
Oh, so much fun.
I'm trying to stay on topic this week. Paul, we have a pre-show meeting.
I'll
every
tell
week.
our guests to hold off calling in then, because I was just going to text them and say you can call in now. But go ahead.
Would you like not me to go off topic?
No. Go ahead,
You
please.
know,
Let's talk
give-
about
yeah,
it.
Give me the nose rub signal so I know.
No, we said we were going to talk about this. So
So we have a pre-show meeting every week, and Paul's just so feminine about certain ways that he likes to go about doing things. So he sits in the show, he sits in the room, and he goes, I'd like to talk to you about something. And I have a few friends that watch the show, and then we've talked, and they've kind of brought up to my attention. And
I didn't
kind
say
of
friends.
Whatever. People. Here's the exact word. Right? People that we know, and I will not disclose my sources. This is what he says to me. I will not disclose my sources. I'm like,
I'm the king of my castle.
okay. I'm like, what is the problem? So it seems like I get off topic and I might tell a story a few times.
You may have told the same story a few
Yeah.
times, is
So-
what I actually said.
So so he was like squirming. I'm like, dude, I'm not a professional radio jockey. I'm not seasoned veteran. I didn't study broadcasting. No big deal. Do your job and produce. If you feel I'm getting off topic, throw me the nose signal. Let me know. But he squirmed for 10 minutes.
I wasn't squirming.
Was he
I'm
squirming?
It was a little bit of a
Yeah.
I'm trying to handle it like I would with any talent to try and
But
be nice about
I'm
it.
not talent.
No. You can't. You were trying to sugarcoat
Yeah,
the
I was
crap out
I
of
was
it.
gonna have my feelings hurt.
It's like, hey, Abe, you're doing a great job, buddy.
It's
But
so bad.
There's one little thing.
Yeah, and then he goes, my favorite line is, and I refuse to disclose my source.
Because your first question to me when I bring up something is, who? Give me
Did I
examples.
ask who?
No.
Did I ask who?
You
No.
didn't, but you would have.
The only reason why I would have is I don't trust your judgment. So if you're going to tell me your wife when you got home sat and told you
No,
about
no,
it.
no,
this-
no.
yeah,
It's not personal friends. It's actually people in the
Oh, I
industry.
know you threw him under the bus. He threw you under the bus, Coop. So
No, it wasn't Coop.
You said Coop.
No, it was Coop for the other thing we were
the
talking
other thing.
about.
Sorry, I'm confusing it.
The other thing that we were talking about.
So so just do your job and produce. That's more of an insult to you than it is to me. If you were doing your job producing, you'd keep me on track.
Wow.
There you go.
So yeah, this has been KMA Talk Radio. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time.
No, because now the internet connection is working and the computer's not screwing up, so we have to do the show now. We've been excited about this. I mean, this was a kind of like a last minute thing when Dave came out with officially saying that he would not be a part of the PCA. And
It was a week ago.
yeah, and Coop I think was the first one to officially break it in the news.
Mm-hmm.
And we reached out to Dave, and he was like, "Of course, whatever you need, I'll be available. I'd love to talk about it."
Well, a lot of times with guys like that, very busy guys.
Yeah,
Dave has his own show, the Cigar Authority. He runs retail
On
shops.
Saturdays.
On Saturdays, later this afternoon today. And, sometimes you just don't think you'll get somebody at the last minute like that. But he was, very, very excited to do the show and was very happy we asked and said I'd be happy to throw myself out there for criticism. That's his exact words to me. So.
Oh, boy.
Well, so we may lose him a couple minutes before the end of the show so he can go do his show, but he is on the line now if we want to go to that.
Let's
Adam.
jump on.
That's up to
All
you.
right, let's bring in our special guest. Ladies and
Good
gentlemen,
morning.
ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Dave Garofalo of Two Guys Smoke Shop and the Cigar Authority. Dave, thank you for joining KMA Talk Radio.
Thanks for having me. Very excited to be here.
Absolutely. So, how are things in New Hampshire this fine morning?
Things are good. Nice weather. It's beautiful. It's almost like Florida here.
I highly doubt that. You're not
Yeah.
walking outside and having sweat dripping down from other parts we
Okay.
cannot mention. Yeah,
I've been to New Hampshire plenty of times.
it's far
Yeah.
nicer.
In December, you can call us and tell us how it's like Florida.
Right.
I don't think you'll be agreeing.
No.
Well, Dave, for our listeners who are not too familiar, you were in a very successful line of stores up in New Hampshire. And how long have you been in the cigar business?
Since 1985, so this is 34 years this year.
Wow, you're old.
I'm old.
I'm just kidding.
I started very young, but I'm still old.
And
Add 34 years onto anything.
wow, and 34 years. What's funny is because I got in the business. I think I was. I was officially in retail. I was 26, 25, 26. And I just remember.
Yeah.
I remember being the youngest guy always in the room. And now when we had these meetings, oh man, I'm just like the oldest guy in the room now. It's so bad.
True.
When you would go out with Sal to industry events, would he be like, "This is the kid"?
Yeah, it's literally.
Yeah.
Sal would be like, "This is the kid. This is the young buck." Introduce me to everybody. It's like, or we just got in the room like you was always the new guy, and now we look around it's like, oh man, I've become that old veteran now, and it's kind of a little disheartening sometimes.
Yeah.
But,
Watched everybody grow up. It's been great.
Yeah, it really has. And you also have your own show, Cigar Authority, which airs later on this afternoon.
Yes. We go
Great.
to noon.
And how can people catch that show?
TheCigarAuthority.com.
There you go. Simple enough.
God, I love his accent.
Oh yeah.
We have an accent? You guys sound funny to me.
That's, in New Hampshire, we probably do. Now, you also, and one of the reasons why I really wanted to get you on the show, on top of having the press release which we'll get to in a minute, you also have you're a manufacturer, technically. You're an exhibitor at the annual trade show, correct?
Yes, I try to do everything. I love this industry, and I want to be part of it in every way and actually learn what the other side's up against. Not only am I in the distribution of cigars, I'm a consumer myself. I buy lots of cigars of the brands we don't carry. So I've been a consumer for as long as I could be buying cigars. So I'm every aspect of it, and I try to give consideration to everything as I'm making decisions for my own business.
I find that amazing that he says that, because that's always an example I use. Because one of the conversations I kind of got into last week was a consumer, feeling that their point of view wasn't taken consideration. But I always try to run my business through the perspective of being a consumer, just like that. And I think that's interesting.
And because you were a consumer, and technically you still
and I
are.
still am. And I always kind of set that as the standard, as me as a consumer. How would I be coming into any one of our retail stores, or what my expectations would be?
Right.
So I found that very interesting that you said that. So you made a press release after some breaking or non-breaking news that finally made it officially and unofficially to the market regarding the trade show next year, and you basically kind of put it out there that you and your organization won't be involved.
Well, I did not write a press release. I said it during my show, at the tail end of the show, that I said I'm not going. And I'm just amazed that it took off to that degree that
Will Cooper actually ended up writing something about it, and obviously a big listenership, a big readership that he has, because my phone lit up. It didn't light up after I did my podcast. It lit up after he wrote it. But he wrote everything factual, and then it was everybody that in both sides. Some people, Dave, I agree with you, blah, blah, blah. But then there was a lot of, what are you talking about? Don't do this. And
you got a lot.
And what I'm doing is nothing different than what everybody who doesn't attend a trade show does. They just don't show up. I just have to say it on my show that I'm not going, as opposed to just not showing up. I am a member of the IPCPR, or what was the IPCPR. I'm still a member. I will pay my dues once again this year. Part of being a member of the trade show organization, or the IPCPR, is you get to go to the trade show if you want to go. It is not a trade show. That is not the organization. It is an organization, or was an organization, for retailers, for the betterment of cigar and pipe retailers. Unfortunately, I'm feeling like, and that's the reason for it, that they've kind of lost their way, and maybe they have a different agenda in mind. I'm going to get slammed for it, I understand, because I'm talking to your audience, and even when I talk to my audience, it's an audience of consumers, and I sound like I don't like the consumer, and that's not true. I love the consumer. I love the industry. The consumer is actually the only reason why I showed up for work today and every day. That's why I come to work, is for the consumer. I love them. Just sad that this retail organization has decided, okay, we're just not going to be a retail organization. We are going to the consumer.
So, Dave, I have to ask, what compelled you to step forward as quickly as you did with this announcement to just say that you were not going to be a participant?
So, having the manufacturer's side of it, the showing up at the trade show on the last day of the trade show, which was Tuesday at 1 o'clock, and the trade show was getting ready to close, that was our time to pick our booth. They do it during the whole show, but we're at the very, very tail end of a small distribution company that we're last on the totem pole. But when we go there to pick our booth, we actually have to give 50% of the deposit for next year. We're talking about, we spend upwards of $100,000 to set up at that show, between setup and everything it costs to actually be at that booth. It's very expensive. And the determination was made during the trade show. As I listened to every part of it I could. I showed up at the grand announcement, the secret announcement that everybody knew about. And then being part of the media, I was lucky enough to be able to sit through the media portion of it and hear everything I could. And then there was a lunchtime learning session where they said that. The night previous to picking the booth, we got together, and I did it with the company that we distribute for, Nelson Alfonso at Selected Tobacco, and with Oliver Nouveau at United Cigar, along with my buyer for Two Guys Smoke Shop, and myself representing the Cigar Authority. And we all sat together and said, okay, what are we going to do here? And the decision was, all around, we're not going to show at the show. And part of that includes that I wasn't going to cover it media-wise, and that I wasn't going to attend as a buyer of the show. And
was it a conscious decision on your part? Did you say to yourself, I'm going to come out and say specifically I'm not, like, some people would just not go. I have
to either give them 50% or not.
Right.
Okay.
So on that Tuesday, we went up to booth selection, and we said we're not going to be attending. And they said, you can pick booths later on. You don't have to make that decision now. Again, we're the last one anyway, so it doesn't matter if we go later on or not. The people that are up front, I guess, really matters choosing their spots. So we said we're not going to go, and they said, well, you don't have to make that decision now. And we said, well, we did make our decision. We heard everything there is to hear. Maybe you guys are going to tweak what you're going to do or not, but we got together, we made our decision. We will not be attending the show. Sorry to hear that, is what we got, and that was it. And now I was there for actually 2 days later, if anybody had anything to say to me, but I come back for the Saturday show, at the tail end of the show, talking about everything that happened during the show, I say at the end of it, and next year I will not be attending. That's as far as it went. And this is a recorded show that we do. It's there, and at the end I say, we will not be attending. And then it blows up into, oh my God, I made news. It must have been a freaking slow news day.
Well, it is July, and there's nothing else really going on.
I think Dave, it's a testament to your stature in the industry because, guys of your stature is a barometer of what people will look to, that what may happen in the trend. So, there's three aspects to this I'd like to cover in the show, Dave, because there's three really different perspectives. One is obviously of the retailer, one is obviously of the manufacturer exhibitors of the show, and one is of the consumers. So let's start out with the retail part of it. You as a retailer, because you and I actually relate on this at this level. So as a retailer, it's become, and this is as you and I said on the board, it's been an issue that's been ongoing really for a decade, plus. I mean, I can't even remember how many years we sat on the board together. 7, 8 years ago, maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago. Attendance has been dropping. I mean, every year they say there was people, but I never see it. The show looks thinner to me every year.
Oh, yeah.
It could be the footprints getting bigger, but when you talk to manufacturers, and a lot of times as a retailer, we talk to our manufacturers and we hear a story, but it's not a different story that gets publicly put out there, right? So as a retailer, for me personally, because you made a statement that Coop reported of how you thought it was going to affect you as a retailer, which I didn't relate to, because as a retailer, honestly, I'm going to spend what I'm going to spend. In fact, I probably spend less because I have less impulse buying, right?
Yeah.
I'm more selective in my buying because I buy what I really feel my organization needs and what I think will be good with our consumer base. Where when I go to the show, we get bombarded nonstop. We get bombarded by brands we never heard of. Yeah. Everybody trying to sell us, and a lot of times we'll make purchases that we probably wouldn't have made. So for me as a retailer, not going usually improves my buying. I spend the money I'm going to spend. We get the deals we're going to get. Half the time we know the deals before the show. Half the time our ordering's done before we even leave for Vegas or wherever this show is. So as a retailer, it doesn't really, there's not a necessity for me to go as a retailer. The whole cigar con thing they got going as a retailer, well, if you're not going, you're not involved. Because we have more of a choice as a retailer not to be involved in the process if we don't want to be.
So they pushed, on the discussion of it, they pushed a little bit on if you don't participate in this, the consumer's going to be looking for the tickets. They're going to end up buying the tickets from your competitor. Your competitor's going to actually chaperone them down. So it was almost like, we got you. There's nothing you could do about this. And that, when you push me against the wall, that's when I come out, the claws come out, and I go, oh, really? Okay. I'm definitely not going.
Well, it was a very ill-conceived move because honestly, I mean, Dave, you've been known for many, many years as one of the best event planners and makers in the industry. And honestly, in my earlier years, I kind of looked to a lot of things that you were doing as guidance and inspiration for a lot of things that we've done over the years. And I don't, Coop asked me a question, and he'll be on later on the show to kind of jump in the conversation with us. But he's like, well, what are you going to do when 10 or 15 of your consumers or 20 of your consumers are jumping, down your throat and wanting to get tickets for this event? I said, well, I'm just going to give them honest advice. Instead of spending the $2,000 to $3,000 to go to a show that has no track record for, and as a guy who sets up a show, one of my arguments is it's not set up for this type of experience event. The layout, everything. I mean, if you're an event planner, you've done these types of events. Layout is in how you plan the footprint of the event. It's a big flow of how the experience is, right?
Of course, and that's awesome that you do all these events that you do, that you understand, as I understand, that it's not going to be easy as they think it's going to be. 4,500 consumers. Oh, really? That's going to be easy. You never did it before. That's the way you're going to start. 4,500?
Okay.
This is a train wreck.
Okay.
We had this discussion.
Hold on. I hope it works out, but I don't see it.
It's funny because you just opened the door to a big conversation I had with my team that I wanted to specifically get your opinion because this is a game I've been playing with everybody all week, and we'll do it after the break.
Yes, we will.
Right.
Hold that thought. We were going to tease ahead. We were going to ask Dave a very important question about his big thought on CigarCon when we come back. Keep it lit.
You're listening to KMA Talk Radio. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
We're on Instagram too.
Yes, it's mandatory.
Experience the new Henry Clay Warhawk, a robust and complex cigar that's inspired by the rebellious roots of Henry Clay. The first of a 3-part series honoring the life of the great statesman, this cigar is made with the best tobaccos grown and hand-rolled by the Grupo de Maestros at La Flor de Copan in Honduras. And it's not your typical Connecticut. This is a Henry Clay. Stand up, be different, and smoke a Warhawk. Surgeon General warning, cigar smoking can cause cancer to the mouth and throat even if you do not inhale.
Hello, this is Glenn Case, owner of Christoph Cigars. There's nothing more important to me than family. That's why I treasure the moments with my wife Terry and our son Christopher, aka Christoph. When we have those rare moments to talk about life, there's nothing better than smoking Christoph to enhance our time together. For Terry, it's our Christoph Sweet Tip Cuban selection. For Chris, our Sumatra. And for me, our original Maduro. Enhance your family time with Christoph Cigars.
The Oliva family, the makers of some of the most affordable yet highest rated premium cigars available. For 7 straight years, Cigar Aficionado has rated Oliva as one of the best cigars of the year. And Oliva has a cigar for all smokers, from the newly released Gilberto Oliva Reserva to the bold and rich Oliva Serie V. Oliva cigars can be found at a tobacconist near you, so always ask for Oliva, an unbeatable value and uncompromising quality. The Oliva family of cigars.
The recently released Perdomo Double-Aged 12-Year Vintage is an extremely rare blend of Perdomo's finest and most cherished 12-year-old fillers, binders, and wrappers. Bale-aged for 10 years and then barrel-aged in bourbon barrels for an additional 2 years, these exquisite Nicaraguan tobaccos are bursting with rich, complex flavors. Offered in Connecticut, sun-grown, or Maduro, available at only 250 authorized tobacconists worldwide, the Perdomo Double-Aged 12-Year Vintage is a must-have for every cigar enthusiast.
Hey, this is Clay from La Polina Cigar Company. My likes and dislikes: long walks in the park, old school gangster films, wrestling grizzly bears with Abe. Dislikes: smelly feet, flight attendants with an attitude, and Friday afternoon traffic. What I know you will like is the La Polina family of fine cigars, such as Mr. Sam, Bronze Label, and our highly rated Classic Series. But let's not forget the limited edition Goldie. Quality forever. La Polina Cigars.
Plasencia Cigars has been one of the world's leading growers of first-class tobacco since 1865. Today, Nestor Plasencia Sr., together with the 5th generation of the Plasencia family, continue the legacy. With over 3,000 acres of quality tobacco fields, they are makers of quality cigars, including Alma Fuerte, ranked among the top 10 cigars in major publications. Find them in your local premium tobacconist stores around the country. Plasencia Cigars, perfected for more than 150 years. Yours to enjoy now.
Hello, this is Glenn Case, owner of Christoph Cigars. There's nothing more important to me than family. That's why I treasure the moments with my wife Terry and our son Christopher, aka Christoph. When we have those rare moments to talk about life, there's nothing better than smoking Christoph to enhance our time together. For Terry, it's our Christoph Sweet Tip Cuban selection. For Chris, our Sumatra. And for me, our original Maduro. Enhance your family time with Christoph Cigars.
Keep the party going all week long at the world-famous Spearmint Rhino, West Palm Beach. Every Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday, enjoy $3 premium drinks from the bar till midnight. Magnum Mondays means $100 Magnums of Belvedere and Moët Brut until midnight. Get your thrills every $10 Tuesday with $10 dances all day and night. Ladies, don't miss Women Crush Wednesdays with half off your cover charge. No matter the time of day, it's always a good time at Spearmint Rhino, West Palm Beach.
Welcome back. You're listening to KMA Talk Radio. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
We're on Instagram too.
Yes, it's mandatory.
Welcome back to KMA Talk Radio, broadcasting live. I am Adam K. the Brewmeister. With me, of course, Mr. Honest Abe.
Good morning.
And Paul.
Hey, hey, hey.
Collins behind the glass. And on the phone, our special guest, Mr. Dave Garofalo of Two Guys Smoke Shop. And before we hit the break, we teased a very interesting question we wanted to ask Dave.
Well, here's a question I've had all week. And once again, Dave, thanks for joining us out from calling in from the depths of New Hampshire out there. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
By the way, I think I've been to Dave's shop before because my grandfather used to always stop in New Hampshire to pick up booze when we were going back and forth from Maine to see my great-grandmother.
Okay.
And we used to stop at a giant, I'm talking about a giant cigar store, and I think that's you, Dave.
It is.
Yeah.
It's funny how
Great
it
answer.
always starts. I was with my grandfather. That's how, yeah, I've been around quite a while, right?
Great answer. It is. I love it. So here's the thing, Dave. So to preempt this, so Coop asked me a question. What are you going to do when these consumers come in? I'm saying, I'm just going to be honest with them. I'm going to tell them, look, save the $2,000 or $3,000 it's going to cost you to get out to Vegas for a untested show that seems to be very overpriced, and spend the $150 and come to the Great Smoke that we've been doing for 14 years. You're probably going to have 10 times a better experience. That's pretty much going to be my answer.
Yeah, spend your money with the retailer. Spend the money with the retailer.
Well, I mean,
as
look.
opposed to the retail organization that's going to try to pull them away from the retailer.
Well, I mean, look, there's always that argument, and it happens a lot in our industry because the manufacturers will do events and then try to acquire names and then directly market to the consumers. And it's just an ongoing thing, and I just try to do what I do. And I figure if I always do a good and great job, that those are things I don't have to worry about. But as two guys who've done events, we understand the logistics, right? The logistics of this layout is not conducive to this type of event, right? I think they're trying to sell it that the show floor the awe of being in the show floor is going to be this amazing thing, which in my opinion will last about 15 minutes when they realize what the coverage of where they got to walk to actually see a lot of the show floor in a short amount of time. And the many different people you got to deal with. Like, we literally start working on our February event this month. We start sending out invitations, and I have a big team of people that kind of from July and August all the way to February.
That's their job.
This is
right?
what we work on.
Yeah.
We work on putting it together. It's a lot.
Please stop bringing it up. I'm getting nightmares.
Right? and you know, and listen, Dave and I both served on the board. It's a thankless job, but these guys are volunteering. It's not their full-time job. So
are they going to have the time and
well,
the
they're
manpower?
definitely not, but they're going to depend on the one or two people that actually, or three people that actually are involved in the PCA, and I think one of them is a full-time legislative guy. So, I mean, I don't think they've quite grasped what they're entailing. So,
yeah, they don't have the experience at all
No.
when it comes to this. And to go to that degree, 4,500 people, along with the following day that you got to deal with 2,500 retailers.
yeah, the reason why we're actually there, right? So here's the question I've been asking everybody all week, and I've been getting different answers, and I was really looking forward to asking you this question, and you kind of preempted it. When I do these types of events, because like my event, The Great Smoke, now is going on 14 years, and your hopes is to build an experience that's so incredible that it'll get to where you want to go. I mean, I think my first 2 or 3 years, it was a lost leader. I mean, because I was more attentive to making an experience, and I knew it would get to where I wanted it to go. But
Eventually.
right. But you always say to yourself, you set an expectation and a goal, right? Where like, hey, if we can get this many people, right? The bare minimum, right? The low end of the spectrum, if this many people can get through this event, we did okay the first year. So I've asked a few people in the industry, manufacturers, retailers, what they've thought that would be a realistic number of the low end of the spectrum. And it's been a range. It's been quite a range. But so Dave's the guy who probably has the most experience of doing stuff. Dave, if I had to ask you, in your expectations, knowing what we know now, how it's being talked about in social media and press, if this show continues to happen and actually happens next February, what would be your guess? How many jelly beans in the jar, basically, guess? I
think they're going to fill it. 4,500 for everybody in the country. I mean, I could do half of that myself.
You really think they'll fill it? That's an interesting because a couple of I'm just going to put it out there. A couple of manufacturers figured they'd get about 2,500 or so people. Some people put it in the 1,000 range, and I think if they hit a number, I mean, I'll be surprised this first year because it's from what I've seen and preliminarily heard. And maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. You're very sometimes more attuned to the stuff that's going on in the background there, but it's probably going to be the most expensive cigar event, higher priced than even the Big Smoke that Cigar Aficionado puts on. Right? It's going to be like the most expensive event out there as far as this type of format event. Yes.
Well, at the press conference, that question was asked, and they said, instead of coming out with an exact price, they said we're going to have a tier system, but the low end of the tier would be priced around where the Big Smoke is priced, which is in Las Vegas anyway, so that they'd go in that way. Now, do I think a whole bunch of people from New England, 4,500 people from New England are going to travel down? No, but the whole West Coast that these people could drive to,
right.
I think they fill it up that way.
Yeah, I mean, they could probably get, maybe a couple thousand people who don't have to fly in and can drive down there. You forget about the local people, right? I always forget Vegas. That people actually live around Vegas, right?
Right.
People live
Some
in
people
Vegas?
Yeah, mentally, like I always have Vegas like I'm in the moon somewhere, right? Where no one, there's no really human existence around it that much. But yeah, there people actually live around Vegas.
My wife lived in Vegas for a year and a half. She went to college there.
Oh, nice. UNLV.
She said it was horrific. She said it's very difficult to live there.
So
And you may get some retailers, which is what they're hoped for, is some retailers that normally don't attend, that know that their consumer is going to be attending and say, I better go there, and that they could drag in some smaller retailers that pass on the show most years, and that they would go forward with some of the thoughts that how it would get them more retailers to show up.
Well, is that realistic? Because I mean, if those retailers aren't showing up, there's probably a financial reason for it, right? Not necessarily.
Back in the day, when they used to say, "Oh, the place is filled," we called them tire kickers. Yeah, it was filled with people, and they didn't buy anything. They walked around the show and they experienced it, and they got lots of free samples and free drinks and this and that, and they didn't really buy that much. And as the show dissipated over the years, and again, you got to take with a grain of salt what the manufacturer says, but far less people are showing up, but their sales are even better. So they're getting the bigger players that come in there for serious to buy cigars, as opposed to the guy coming in for samples. I don't want a sample. I want a sample to try to see if I'm going to buy the brand and go deep with it. So that's the difference of it. Quality versus quantity, right? What do you want?
Right. You know the difference between the tire kickers and the buyers? Because the tire kickers are walking around with 2 or 3 bags in their hand.
Yes.
I don't want to carry anything when I'm walking the showroom floor. It's the truth.
When the
Keep a
guy
cigar or
gives
two
me
in your
sample,
pocket.
Typically, I cut and light it right there in front of him, and I'm going to make that decision right there and then, as opposed to take it back or whatever. Or please send it to me before I get to the show so I can take my time and try the cigar, as opposed to I'm 20 deep by the time I get to your booth.
And unless I really, really like it, I pretty much kind of leave that cigar there because I know I'm going to have to smoke one in the next.
That's exactly
meeting.
what Adam said to me, because to me this is a completely foreign thing, and he said the same thing. He said, "You light it, you smoke it right there."
I have a rule: you light it. They give it to you. You light it. You have until you reach the next booth you're going to, because then you have to put it down, and then because once you get in that next booth, somebody else is giving you something you got to try.
Yeah, there's always now and then I'll grab a cigar. I'm smoking this. Yeah, this is actually really, really good, right?
There have been 2 cigars I've ever finished at the trade show, and I specifically know that.
Yeah. So as a retailer, my consensus is, Dave, and you can correct me where I might have be mistaken, but it really is no burden to us. We're not carrying the weight. I mean, they're trying to put the onus on us to sell the program and get guys on there, but I just think. I think, as in any other project that's been retailer based and that I've seen over the 20-some years, they don't do it. If these retailers were so great, we would have lobbied so much better over the years. We would have gotten more organized and fighting. I mean, and there are some that excel at it, right? I mean, Jeff's one of the guys. I mean, that guy will fight any cause, right? But the majority of them barely open their store on time during the day. So, I mean,
absolutely. And so the manufacturers will tell you, and I've been on a board of advisors, and with you, and we talk to the reps and the manufacturers themselves. And there's a handful of people, and you're one of them, and Jeff's one of them, I'm one of them, and there's not a whole bunch across the country that when an event happens in their store, that there's people that show up and they came for the event because it was promoted before, during, and after the event happened. Where on most occasions they show up at the retail store and the little poster they sent them is still wrapped up with the elastic around it.
That's the truth.
The postcards they sent out, there's no social media presence to it, anything, and the people come in and say, "Are you here for the XYZ event?" And they say, "No, I didn't know anything about it." And this continues over and over, and they continue to do the same thing. I think it's going to be the same thing as this trade show, that they're going to maybe send a poster out or something. The guy's never going to hang it up. He's not going to walk over to the customer and say, "Why don't you come to this?" And the people they're counting on is the bigger guys to end up doing it. But I think the bigger guys are looking at it. I certainly am, and say, "This is not good for my business. I'm not going to push and promote it. Let alone there's actually no profit in it for the retailer. It's actually more expense that you're going to chaperone them."
Yep.
There's just so many things wrong with this, and I heard that they've been talking about this for 3 years, putting it together, and I can put so many holes into it. And why did this not come up when? And it did come up a little bit. If you remember, we were on the board, and I remember what you had said, that when this came up, that we want more people to come in and what can we do, you brought up a very interesting thing that was the roast.
I still talk about Dave because look, I'm trying to stay on tangent of the manufacturer, retail, consumer side, but it's very hard because it all blends together, right? Here's the problem. I look at it, and you being a veteran like myself, look at it the same way. Our concern is the viability and the livelihood of the organization itself called the PCA IPCPR.
Yeah.
It's a stressed organization that has problems. And it has problems because there's been less and less of a need for retailers to go. Guys like you and me, we could stay at home, buy what we want to buy, get the deals we're going to get, and actually have a better margin because we didn't incur. You got an entourage when you go, right? You got a big expense when you go to a show before you even set foot in Vegas. So there hasn't been a reason, and the only way you can really make a trade. And look, the trade show itself is the revenue-making source for this organization, is where the majority of the income that sustains the organization. So when that's threatened, you have to try to resolve it.
Absolutely.
The only way you resolve a successful trade show is by increasing the number of retailer attendants, right? These are the guys that make it thrive, right? Yep. They're the guys that come, spend, that no matter how the costs keep increasing every year for the manufacturers, it's worth it for them because of the volume of sales they do in a short period of time. So does this consumer event address that issue? Some people will tell you, yeah. I had a big talk with Nimish because he saw my post on Facebook. He reached out to me. He's like, why are you against this?
He's watching now, too.
Yeah, I said, I'm not against this. I'm not really against this. It's just not a good idea, and I'm stating my opinion. I think it's a terrible idea. Because
I think it's a good idea for them to try to raise more money. I just don't think this is the way to raise the money.
But that's exactly what Abe said yesterday.
But here's my point. At the end of the day, you have to look at what your goal is, what your objective of a task is. If you want to raise money for lobbying, we could have thought about 20 different ways to raise a lot of money that wouldn't have stressed this already fragile thing called the trade show, right? Because it's
trade show.
Exactly.
Operative word being trade because it's already stressed out. So and anybody who doesn't think that this idea hasn't stressed it worse is nuts because it's all over social media. People are debating, arguing about it. Guys like you are not coming. I know for a fact that a lot of companies, including major companies, while they did take their booth, have refused to pay their deposit. Right?
Yeah.
They wouldn't give them their deposit.
They want to see what's coming before they finally make that final decision, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically kind of a position of, hey, look, if you guys are going to go through with this, we may not come. I mean, that's the statement they made, right? Because, look, at the end of the day, this event doesn't help the show, right? Me as a retailer who I don't have a reason to go, now you've just thrown something on top of me going, trying to do my buying, then trying to avoid the 200 or 300 manufacturers I never heard of that are trying to stop me every 5 minutes to buy from them that I didn't even know. Now I have a day where I have more work now, and I have to try to, entertain people. And like I said, if they had taken all the money they raised, because the cost of the show keeps going up every year, they've taken all the money they raised and somehow incorporated it into a rebate to all the manufacturers based on size, that would have been a small, when I say small, I mean a small step that actually would help the show, right? Because now I have a mid-level or small guy and it's a high expense, and I know I'm going to get a rebate based on.
It incentivizes
a little bit.
People, right?
It makes more sense than raising money for lobbying. So my thing was, look, they've tried to, and Dave, you know this for sure, and Dave will attest to you. Mm-hmm. Dave, you have access to all the deals before you get on a plane.
Sure.
And that's been the industry standard. They've tried to control the deals, and it's never going to happen.
Or people are always saying the price list. People don't want the price list out there.
But no, what I'm trying to say is a trade show would have worked better if, look, they're offering deals that as a retailer, I'm never going to get unless I show up to that show.
Yes.
Right?
Give you a reason to actually go, yeah.
But that's already been done and proven. And when Dave and I sat on a board that we were talking about this 10 years ago, you can't control it. So that being said, you have to come up with a idea or concept that would make me as a retailer say, hey, I got to go there this year because I'm not going to miss this. And the deals of the show is not it. So Dave brought up, I had come up with an idea to do a cigar industry roast, right? Every year, there's seldom every chance where all these retailers from all over the country and every manufacturer is there. So we pick a guy like Rocky or even sometimes retailers like a Dave, and we roast them. I had a comedian out in, I remember Dave, we had that comedian who's a cigar guy. He was going to come out, help us coordinate it, host it, MC it, write the material for it. Every manufacturer would have taken a table or two. Every retailer would have taken a table. Listen, I would have paid money. If they auctioned the opportunity to go up and, like, roast Rocky, I would have paid money just to be on the panel to be able to get up there and roast him.
Right.
Right?
Pay to do it.
I would have paid to do it. And if and depending on the venue, if they opened it up to 500,000 people, you could have consumers there. Now, and you make one gala, something super spectacular that after that event, that's what everyone would have talked about after that trade show. The next year, you would have had double the attendance.
Right. We've talked about this before.
You could have gotten cigar celebrities, guys who were into cigars who'd want to be at this roast, athletes. And it could have become the premier thing of this trade show event that I'm going every year because I don't want to miss this. And, hey, I'm here. I'm going to go hit the show floor and do some business.
And you're going to stay till the end because it's after it's over.
But Dave was there with me. Instead of just trying to work on, and then we were going to make the DVDs so that the retailers could offer them to the consumers and promotions. So if you didn't make it to Vegas to see Jonathan Drew or Rocky or somebody roasted, you could get the DVD when you go to the local cigar shop. There was ancillary income that could have happened throughout the year, right?
Yeah.
They got all these manufacturers in a room because they wanted to get their opinion. Well, you know what happens when you get 50 different people in a room to get their opinion?
You get 50 different opinions.
And you get nothing. And that's basically what happened. What happened. But
so how did it happen that they got these retailers in the room, and from what I understand, there was a handful of manufacturers, the AMAB board, that is the board of the manufacturers that are there to help out and, give insight to us retailers to say, you shouldn't do that, or how about this, or whatever. So they brought it to the board and said, yes, you should bring the consumers in there, and that the other people on the board actually bought it.
Because you want to know how that happened, Dave?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you how that happened. Because the board selection process is the board sits there and invites people to run for the board or they get nominations. So they like to elect like-minded people. And you get a room full of people where they already knew before they became on the board, hey, we're kind of on the same page in ideas. Guys like me, I'm never liked on a board of directors. Because I'm just going to tell you the way it is. If I think something's a dumb idea, I believe it's my job to tell you it's a dumb idea. And it's never
That's the hat we wear, and we're supposed to actually tell the truth and for the betterment of the association. That's the hat we wear at that point. And you did not get the votes for the roast. I did not get the votes for the many things that I brought forward on it. And then, which was the crazy thing, when I heard, part of it, I said, okay, these people aren't used to doing big events, and they don't want to do the roast because they're saying, oh my God, the amount of work that's just going to happen. And then they were sold a bit of goods to say, this is a good idea, and it's not going to be a lot of work. Right. Oh my God.
Yeah, because they've over the last 6, 7, 8 years have managed to recruit people on the board who are like-minded people. I'm never the popular guy because I'm just going to tell you I've been voted 11-1 on a board often because I cannot go against my grain. If I'm just going to tell you, hey, look, this is awful. This idea has so many holes in it. You haven't even foreseen the problems that you're going to have.
Well, it's funny that they were afraid to do the roast. All those people are going to be going there anyway. Like, these are all industry people that you don't have to tell them about. You don't have to get a message out there to what this event is.
You don't got to recruit.
They know exactly what it is. They'll hear about this event. You have a list of them now that you can communicate with them. And they think that this Cigar Con is going to be an easier event for them to do than putting together a roast.
That's what Dave's saying. How did this bill of goods get sold to them? It's rough. So now I just want to just shift gears now to the manufacturer side because these are the guys I really feel sorry for because they got to participate no matter what, right, Dave?
Yep. No blackout booths is what they said.
Yep.
You need to participate if you're going to be on the show floor. So there's the pressure to them that you must do this. The pressure to us was your competitors are going to sell the tickets if you're not going to. So your customer is going to look for a ticket. He's going to have to go to your competitor. All these underlying things were set up where we're kind of forcing you into this idea, and that's when that was the final straw to me to say, okay, I'm backing out. I'm being forced to do something I don't want to do. I'm going to pay the price. Maybe a consumer is going to look at me in a negative way, and I certainly hope not. I put myself out there saying I'm against it, and the consumer is probably looking and saying he's against us. And honestly, I love the consumer. I'm not against them at all. I have 3 days a year to conduct business, and mostly it's with new people that I want to get on board with and do it because we're already, like you said, making the deals beforehand with the bigger guys. So when I go there, it's usually let me find the next new thing and all that, and who wants to participate in our crazy events that we do and different stuff. So even at nighttime, I have, you go to the bar and you're sitting with somebody, and, can you imagine with 4,500 consumers around and trying to conduct business? I don't conduct business on my trade show, on my store floor or out in the lounge with the consumers. When I'm not doing business, sure, I'm sitting with the consumer. But when I'm doing business, it's
Right.
in the office. You close the door and you're talking numbers and real in business. That shouldn't be around the consumer.
You're talking business at the trade show pretty much all day, even to the wee hours of the morning. I mean, even if you're just socially drinking, we're talking business. I mean, that's what we're there for. That's what we're doing. And you brought up a good point because, like I said, I got in a situation with somebody on social media who thought I was being crass and
No.
a little bit, and he didn't, I wasn't sensitive to the consumer's feeling. And my stance on this is that the consumer's feeling, and I'm sorry if you don't want to hear this, has no bearing on this event, because the concern is if this organization doesn't find a way to thrive and solve the real problem, you can have your cigar event this year or next year, but in 3 years, the organization won't be here.
Right.
So it's irrelevant, right? My long-term objective is to see this organization thrive. And
How old is the organization?
87 years.
Right.
Okay? And in my opinion, this event already is hitting a frail shell of the egg that's already ready to crack, and it's not helping it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm speaking out, not because I have anything against consumers. Consumers are who I cater to almost 365 days a year, Dave, and you know this.
Yeah.
What we do when we come up with an idea or an event or a promotion, our intent is how do we make an awesome experience for our consumer base, right?
At our store.
At our store. Or, sometimes
Right.
not at our store. Some of our events are not at our store, but it's for our base, right?
Yes.
So, for me to say, oh, yeah, now I have to be sensitive because, you guys want to go. No, because that organization, that whole existence is for us to do a trade and trade business. And if that doesn't exist, then what's the point? And I believe that this event, because look, here's the problem too. Here's the second end of the thing. And Dave, you know this better than anybody. When you do these type of events, your first one better be out of the park.
Yeah.
Right? If it's not out of the park, guys ain't walking out of there saying this is awesome, whatever. It's done.
Right.
It's not happening again.
And everybody's going to know about it.
Are you kidding me?
In this industry.
It's done. Because if
especially.
somebody's not happy with something, they'll tell 100 people.
Right, exactly.
Somebody loves something, he might tell 10 people, right? That's
you got
what
to give them more than they expected, not less than they expected, so they come back next year and they tell their
right. And I think they're all going to get less than they expected. And I think what's going to happen is, I've also said this, right? Because one of the guys says, it's been my dream to go to a trade show. I'm like, really? The consumers have been infiltrating the trade show for decades. It's been one of the problems. In fact, when Dave and I sat on the board, one of the issues we addressed was finally limiting badges, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry was getting into the show. So,
they didn't even want the media. They didn't want the cigar media there. We had a fight to let the media go and say, no, this is good that people are reporting from it. Let the media go.
Why not? Right? But
whatever you got to do, keep the consumer
actually,
out.
that's exactly right. That was one of the things we worked on the board. Instead of just guessing or letting them buy their tickets, let's make a media package and just vet people and get the right media in, right?
Yes.
So let's be more proactive toward it. So that's one of the things we actually worked on when we were on the board. But if this event isn't epic, it's gonna be very hard for them to try to pitch it next year. And I think a lot of these consumers, what I've said is the smart ones who have been infiltrating the trade show over the last 10, 15 years, what they're going to do is they're going to acquire a badge from a retailer who has an extra one. Some of them even ask the retailers, because I don't know what they sell a badge for now. Is it $100, $150?
So I think like 150, yeah.
For an extra badge, you want an extra badge, right?
Something
So
like
they'll pay the retailer, hey, here's $100, give me a badge. And instead of going for this thing for 3 or 4 or 5 hours, whatever it is, for one day, they get to walk the showroom floor for 4 days. And guess what? They're wearing a manufacturer's badge. They're going to walk out with 200 samples they didn't even ask for.
Yeah.
And how are you going to convince these guys who are paying now $400 to get in for 5 hours that that's going to be the better path? Because I know a lot of these guys who were just infiltrating the trade show may buy this ticket.
But I believe they will buy it the first time because they have no idea what's going to happen.
That's what I'm saying.
They're going to go in, and then the problem's going to be year 2 and 3, where they said at the press conference 4,500 the first year, 6,000 the second year, 8,000 the third.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No. So they have a 3-year plan, which was good to hear. They have a 3-year plan, but hearing it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is actually going to get worse because what's going to happen after the first year is you did not overperform, and actually the number's going to be less. Who's going to show up the second year after? You saw it. Now what? I'm really going for thousands of dollars. It's not just going to be the $600-800, whatever it's going to be to walk through the door. It's going to be the airfare, the hotel, the time, everything.
I was going to say, I don't even think they conceived of the logistics of an 8,000 person event.
I know.
Cigars International, all right, and I know the team that puts on that event and how many people are involved in doing that event, okay? They do 6,000 people over 2 days.
Yeah.
They take 3,000 one day and 3,000 the next, right? If they're, I didn't even hear this part, Dave, because I wasn't at the trade show this year. If they're looking for upwards of 8,000 people,
the second year,
the third year, the logistics they're talking about it doesn't work. Whether it's even, I don't think I've ever seen 8,000 people on the showroom floor in the last 10 years.
Nope.
And I guess they don't have anybody that sits on the board that does giant promotions to nearly that degree that can tell you mathematically this isn't going to work. We don't have the infrastructure or the staff to end up pulling it off unless they plan on hiring staff to end up doing it. And we go down in Las Vegas what that cost.
Yeah, you need to hire staff all year. I mean, at least for 6 months a year. How are you 8,000 people going to work that showroom floor? It's going to have to. Here's what's going to happen. Here's where they're going to have another problem. If it is successful, if Dave and I are both wrong, and somehow a blind squirrel found a nut and they throw a successful show and it does grow.
And listen, I'll be happy to be wrong. I'd be very happy if I was wrong and it worked out.
That's what people aren't understanding when you and I talk. I don't want it to fail.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm against it. That's my opinion based on my experience in this industry and doing events, is that this is way more problematic than they have anticipated. But if it does grow, they're going to have another problem, because now the consumer day is going to be more important than the trade show.
Yeah.
You're going to need to take, okay, well, we're going to have now 2 selling days because now the consumer event's going to take up 2. It's so poorly thought out whether it wins or loses.
Right. If there's going to be 8,000 consumers on one of the days, that's the show now.
That's the show. Exactly.
Those are like the shows I go to for these marketing conferences that are 8,000 plus people. One, it is a nightmare, by the way, going to these shows in Vegas and in San Diego when I go. But 2, the staff, the people that run these events, it's a full-time, like 30 to 40 person staff that runs this event. That's a multi-million-dollar company that runs these events. I go to 2 of them every year. They're all between 6,000 and 8,000 attendees in our industry, in the marketing industry. That it's a full company. It's their own company.
Here's the flaw, I think. You want to take a break?
We're gonna get this point.
You want to get out?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the flaw. I think that epic mistake is being made, and Dave, you could disagree or concur with it. But over the years, as I've seen people in my region try to emulate our Great Smoke event, right?
There are a few.
I don't think they've realized. I think they believe, the board believes that this is the popularity of it, and it's going to be an easy sell, right? The retailers across the country are all going to get their consumers to come. We're going to get thousands of people, and everybody's going to want to do this. They get this thing. They believe that like elves come out at night and everything magically happens.
I think the exact point you're trying to make is they're on the Field of Dreams moniker of if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, and I don't think they've even really deep dived how much building is involved before they even show up, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where they're going to be a problem. And after the break, let's talk a little bit more consumers. And you know, Coop's coming on, which I'm very interested, because Coop has the opposite feeling about this. So I'm ready to kind of throw him on the grill and see.
Absolutely.
Where
We'll talk to Dave about the manufacturing side of it all as well, and that has to do effect of it. More here on KMA Talk Radio. Keep it lit.
You're listening to KMA Talk Radio. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
We're on Instagram too.
Yes, it's mandatory.
Dan Blunt here for Alec Bradley Cigars. You ever plunk down hard-earned cash for a cigar? You're hoping you just bought yourself a nice drive-through taste town, only to discover you're in the slow lane with a clunker. That sucks. Say goodbye to bad rides. Test drive an Alec Bradley cigar today. At Alec Bradley, they get it. Whether we're talking about life or cigars, It's all about the ride.
Fuel your soul and experience inspiration with the Aging Room Quattro Series by Rafael Nodal. More than just a master blender, but the inspired composer of 4 boutique masterpieces for the sophisticated palate of an aficionado. The Aging Room Quattro Series are a perfect chord of flavor and aroma, and are born from the best tobaccos, aged under the expertise of one of the greatest names in cigar making. Truly the perfect notes for a genuine cigar smoking experience. Aging Room Quattro Series, a quartet of excellence.
Hoya de Nicaragua proudly announces the release of Cuatro Cinco Reserva Especial, a carefully modified recipe containing a unique and exceptional selection of barrel-aged grade A fillers and a beautiful silky shade-grown Habano wrapper. From the legendary Jalapa Valley, produced in small quantities, this exceptional medium to full-bodied cigar will continue to captivate consumers with its rich Nicaraguan complexity, subtle woody and sweet flavors, and a velvety finish. Try a Cuatro Cinco Reserva Especial today.
CLE Cigar Company presents CLE Cigars, Aroa Cigars, and Asylum Cigars. With 4 generations and over 120 years of experience in tobacco. From seed to smoke, these cigars are produced in Honduras and Nicaragua with the utmost care and precision possible. CLE Cigar Company introduces a vast array of tobaccos in various sizes to bring the highest quality of premium tobacco direct for your enjoyment. Visit clecigars.com for more information.
Since their humble beginnings in 1998, Drew Estate has believed that the production floor is the crossroads between art and passion, and where the real magic takes place. Drew Estate Master Blender Willie Herrera has crafted a unique medium-bodied line extension that is creamy, lush, and ultra-smooth, and finished off with a flawless shade wrapper that delivers satisfaction in spades. Continuing the story from their factory floor, it is with great bravado that the Drew Estate presents Under Crown Shade, a true Drew experience.
Have you yet experienced a Toscano cigar? The full-bodied flavors and aromas of fire-cured tobaccos and a long aging time make smoking a Toscano a unique and exciting experience. Since 1818, Toscano has been one of the best-selling cigars in the world. 200 years of tradition are hand-rolled in the unique shape of every Toscano cigar. Smoking a Toscano is a way of life. Take part in a 200-year-old legacy of handmade, fire-cured Italian cigars. Available at your local premium cigar retailer.
The Oliva family, the makers of some of the most affordable yet highest-rated premium cigars available. For 7 straight years, Cigar Aficionado has rated Oliva as one of the best cigars of the year. And Oliva has a cigar for all smokers, from the newly released Gilberto Oliva Reserva to the bold and rich Oliva Serie V. Oliva cigars can be found at a tobacconist near you, so always ask for Oliva, an unbeatable value and uncompromising quality. The Oliva family of cigars.
Monitor 3 humidors at once from one simple device. Caring for your cigars is easy with the new PuroTemp wireless hygrometer from Zycar. You now have the ability to monitor the humidity and temperature in 3 humidors without even having to open them. Ensure protection by setting simple alerts that will warn you when your cigars are not in the optimal environment. Like everything Zycar, this is backed by their lifetime warranty. Stop by your local tobacconist to purchase yours today. Zycar, for life.
Welcome back. You're listening to KMA Talk Radio. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
We're on Instagram too.
Yes, it's mandatory.
Welcome back to KMA Talk Radio, broadcasting live. I am Adam K. the Brewmeister. With me, of course, Mr. Honest Dave.
Hello.
And Paul.
Hi.
Hi,
the
Paul.
best we can afford. Have I been staying on topic enough for you, Paul?
Yeah, good job, kid. You're doing well.
Thank you
You're
very
going to go
much.
places, kid.
I feel much better today.
Yes, it's everyone wants the praise of Paul. It's what we're all here for.
The praise of Paul. It sounds like a biblical thing.
Mm-hmm.
Book 3 of the praise of Paul.
I was named after a biblical figure. Paul, originally Saul, changed his name to Paul.
The
Saint
Apostle?
Paul. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Paul the Apostle.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And now, more useless information that no one ever cared to know.
Talking about not staying on topic.
Yeah.
Good job, Paul. Good job.
I'm rubbing my nose for you.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm the king of my castle.
On the phone, we have our special guest, Mr. Dave Garofalo of Two Guys Smoke Shop. Dave, thank you for being here with us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
And the Cigar Authority.
And the Cigar Authority, which you can hear later today at 12 o'clock on cigarauthority.com.
So as soon as you're done with KMA Talk Radio, switch on over to the Cigar Authority.
Here you go. And also joining us from the hills of the Carolinas, Mr. William Cooper.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Coop, welcome back to KMA Talk Radio as always. We have been discussing the PCA, CigarCon, the topic that has been taking the cigar industry by storm. Consumers and manufacturers, retailers alike, have been ablaze with just overall thoughts, ideas, and no one has any real idea what's actually going to happen.
I've been licking my chops all week waiting for Coop to get on the show.
Oh.
Coop is ready for it. A lot of people have been commenting on his Facebook posts and whatnot, and Coop's like, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
So let's hear it, Coop. I mean, I assume you've been listening to the show. What's your take on everything that's going on?
Well, first of all, Dave, I'm sorry I caused so much trouble for you this week.
Coop, I got to say, you have a big readership. I say it on my podcast. I heard nothing, but boy, you put that out there, and I heard from every manufacturer there is, along with consumers, everybody, and they're reading your stuff. That's for sure. Maybe a slow media day. I don't know what happened, but wow.
I don't normally say this, but it was the most read story of the year on Cigar.
Wow.
Wow.
So seriously, it was. As of this morning. So here's my take, and I've heard everything. Putting CigarCon aside, this trade show is broken. Okay, the attendance issue was frankly an embarrassment to the industry this year. It was sad to see our signature event. Don't get me wrong. Me covering the trade show with it less crowded was easier, but it was a sad thing to see. And I hated seeing that. So I think something has to be done. Now, Dave, we've had some conversation on this. While I'm not against a consumer component, there are issues I have with the way they are proposing this right now. And they're still kind of trying to basically have this hybrid approach, which I think you mentioned earlier, they're trying to keep everyone happy. I don't see where they have the support for this, though, from the retailers. I don't see where they have the support from this from the manufacturers, and I haven't seen the financial case here. Now, if they had those three things, then I would say a consumer component is something that could be explored. I don't see those types of things yet. What I do say is the trade show can't go on the way it is, and unless there's another option, we may see this transform from a trade show to a consumer spectacle, so to speak. Well, that's my take.
Hey, well, I just want to be clear. I'm not against a consumer component. I'm against a consumer component on the showroom floor during a showroom technical day, right? If they'd worked toward this roast that Dave mentioned earlier that we tried to put together when we were on the board, right? That would have been an awesome consumer event. And I'm telling you, me as a consumer, thinking as a consumer, getting dressed up in a nice black tie event, going to a thing with open bar and cocktails and seeing every manufacturing industry, retailers in the industry, not in a business setting, but in a nice gala setting where everybody was drinking and laughing and we're all laughing at each other. I think that would be way more of an epic experience than trying to walk a showroom floor just so I can get a cigar or meet somebody. Or if they get 8,000 people, do you think you're going to get a chance to talk to Pete Johnston or George Padron or Carlito Fuente?
Right. It defeats the purpose of what they're saying.
You're not even going to get a chance to say hi to them. I only get a couple thousand people at my event, and these guys barely can get a chance to get in and talk to them.
And think about the lines that are going to be...
logistical nightmare. Yeah. Success or fail, it's a logistical nightmare. So I just want you to understand, Coop, I'm not against a consumer component. Right. I'm not against... But the venue and the event and how they've planned it, I'm just telling my opinion is an epic fail. And it's not going to work, in my opinion. It's not that I don't want it to work. I just think that they could have done a way better job. I think they fell short, right? They're trying to get the ball in the end zone, and they're marching it 40 yards downfield and just stopped. It's not the answer to the problem. I think with a little creativity, a little more effort, a little more out-of-the-box thinking, they could have found a way to make consumers come to the show and banked on 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 consumers. Listen to me. If you can get a venue to do a roast and it becomes an epic thing and you only got a room for 1,000 seats for consumers after the industry and the retailers all got their seats, and then you can have an open seating area where you can sell 1,000 tickets and you sell out every year, well, guess what? Guess what? You can do the ticket price next year. You raise it. You don't have to worry about getting more people. And if you sell it out again, guess what you can do the year after that on that price ticket? Raise it again. You still don't have to, right? And then the DVDs have more value because, look, only 1,000 guys got to go see this event. Everybody wants to see. So that's my issue. So I don't want you to think that I have an issue with the consumer component to the event. I just think this is like the worst possible idea they could have come up with.
So I think IQ and we're not as far apart, maybe, because in terms of, I just think logistically, this idea of having retailers kind of bring their consumers and escort them around. Look, my oldest son worked retail for a few years, and I know if this happened, his boss would probably tell him to be the one to walk the consumers across the show floor. You guys mentioned it earlier. That's not something, walking and escorting customers at a trade show is not something that's an easy thing to do. There's logistical hurdles and things like that. That's a lot to put on the retailers who are there to do, as Dave said, to do business. That, I think, is the wrong approach there.
Just to teach them how to do it is going to be an impossibility.
Yeah.
It's a skill.
No, it's a skill. It's a total skill. I mean, I've had to do it in my other jobs, and it's not an easy thing. And you're now, if this thing grows to over, like you said, 8,000 people, I don't know how they're going to handle that. I don't know.
Let me give you just a perfect example here, right?
Yeah.
Dave, you have a huge following in your thing. If you got behind this event, let's just walk through the insanity of this, right? If you got behind this event, promoted it, pushed it, realistically, and I have a number, I want to see how far off I am. How many of your clientele, I know you don't feel this way, but I'm just saying if you really believed in it and wanted to get behind it and do this, how many people do you think you could muster up to go to Vegas and meet you there for the event?
For this event, the way it's planned?
Just say it was just without all the holes. If you just really wanted to promote it with your resources and your marketing and the pool of followers and people who support your business, how many people do you think? And say you believed in the event, right? How many people do you think you could muster up conservatively?
Maybe 50. Because it's that expensive. Maybe 50 tops, 100 people that would go that kind of money.
Right. I think you could probably get 100 people, right? So say you got 100 people. How are you chaperoning 100 people?
Yeah.
Right? So what are you going to do? You're going to fly extra 9 staff? Because I can't see how one guy could chaperone more than 10 people. Because when we want to go to the next booth, well, I didn't get my chance to talk to Carlito yet. I'm going to wait here. And then everybody gets... This is a catastrophe waiting to happen. Catastrophe.
And not only the logistics, for me to spend any time with those 100 people, let's say I spend 10 minutes with 100 people the whole time. Do the math. It's 1,000 minutes, and I'm not spending any time with anybody. I'm doing a terrible job for everybody. When I run my big dinners and stuff, there's 500 people there, and all the manufacturers and stuff, and literally if I spend a minute with each one, the 6 hours is gone. If I spend a minute.
He's absolutely right. And you know what? It's really it's really funny because there's another guy who throws big events, right? The logistics of this. When I throw my event, I'm sure you're the same way, Dave, right? We're controlling every aspect of the event. I don't even I get very nervous and unfounded when there's an aspect of the event that I don't have control over because then I have to have complete faith in somebody else to do their job right, which petrifies me half the time.
Or whatever.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I just want you to understand, they want to make a successful show, but they're going to really have no say in what the manufacturers are going to do. Control of how they make. They have to count on the manufacturers to do their part. They want to count on retailers to go out and sell this, and then bring people. There are so many different facets of which they will have zero control over, and how it comes out. I just cannot see how this works.
Yeah, I have just the cigar dinner that I do with 500 people. There's 18 people working that event.
500 people, 18.
500.
Right? Do the ratio.
The math,
right.
And you're going to need 180 people to do 4,500 people just to work the event. You need 180 people. You're talking Las Vegas, and they're going to make sure it's going to be some at their crazy $180, $200 an hour labor rate that's going to happen there, and it's going to go 6 hours long, and boy, it's going to trickle right into all that money.
So there goes all your profits out the window.
And listen to me, and it's already, well, now let's talk about the manufacturers, right? It's already profit thin, right? They're already working on such a low margin because they're giving show deals. They have such an expense. The expense goes up every year.
They got to fly out all their employees.
Well, I heard some insane thing like $3,000, $4,000 to hang a banner above a booth, right?
Saka said that the carpet he had at his booth, it was a nice carpet.
Sakalicious.
$6,000.
And he has a small booth. It's like 2 booths.
And it's very minimal.
Yes.
Just for the carpet. He said $6,000. It's so yeah. They're already working on such a thin margin that now there's no chance of making a
and
profit.
as a manufacturer, Dave, right, as an exhibitor at this event, right, my thing is, and we tapped on it earlier, is you guys have no choice. There's no blackout. You got to be involved. You want to be in trade show. Because Paul asked me during one of the breaks, if you don't support this, what could they possibly do?
Well, that was a question from one of our listeners, Frank.
What they could possibly do is not let me be a member, which, let me tell you something, and Dave probably going to be on the same boat with me, right? I send my dues in every year whether I go to the show or not, because that's my support for the organization, right? And that will continue to happen. If they don't take my money and want to kick me out, guess what they just did to me? I saved whatever it is I spend every year.
They made it easier.
Yeah, I mean, so there really is no ramification for a retailer who doesn't want to support the event.
But you also haven't been there in quite some time.
Listen
right?
to me. Here's my thing.
Since I've known you, I think.
Earlier on, when I didn't have children, my kids are young, it was me and my wife. It was a good vacation for us. Hey, you want to go to Vegas 5 days? Absolutely, we'll go to Vegas 5 days. I'll do some business while there. I get to write it off as a company trip. It's great. Now I got kids. I don't want to not be around them for 5-6 days. And I'd rather, it's always during the summer, and I don't want to, it's my time of year. There are parents who like when their kids are in school. I get very depressed when my kids are in school all year because I get to see them less. So I love my summertime with my children. It loses out to spending time with my family every year. It's just not that important. So there's no ramifications, but for the manufacturers there are, right? They got to participate. They got to be there. You, Dave, as an exhibitor, and anybody else who participates in this, would pick up the burden of the cost of the whole floor for that day for this event.
Yeah.
Of which is...
and I'll tell you, as a retailer, this year was the week previous to 4th of July. It ended on July 2nd. It coincidentally was the second biggest week in our company history in retail.
Huh.
And I had 4 people away from the show. I could have used those 4 people, and I could have used extra people.
Yep.
But instead, it was quite the opposite. I had less. So
that's
even
awful.
The organization says, we're going to save money. It's a retail organization. We're going to save money. We're going to pick this terrible, terrible week for you, the retailer.
Yep.
And I don't care even if you're in Florida. It was 4th of July week. And people are going to buy cigars for the cookout or whatever's going to end up happening. You're going to have a damn good week. And this is what they ended up choosing to do it, which was directly against the retailer. The manufacturer, on the other hand, they are coming out with new products. Maybe they would be better off, and this has been an argument for years and years, of having it earlier in the year. But there's something going on with the people that are on the board of IPCPR. A lot of them are the same board that are on TAA.
Conflict of interest.
And they're protecting each other and saying, okay, let's stay away and let's let our cross fields and things like that that's happening there. But it's not best for the retailer, nor is it best for the manufacturer.
Or best for the organization, in my opinion, as well.
Right.
I mean, that's really bad. Now, maybe you know the answer, Dave. If not, maybe Coop, you know it, chime in, right? Because I'm very interested. Dave, how many exhibitors are there on the floor?
250.
So you got 250 exhibitors. So let's hang on here. The event that I do has 45.
46 last year.
Okay, 46. So 250.
Yeah.
From what I understand, and from what I've heard, and there's so many stories going on, I could be wrong, but the package basically that when you go to it comes with 30 cigars. Mm-hmm. Which 30 do you get from the 250 exhibitors? Or say
whatever you
want.
You go shopping. You're on a shopping spree, and you walk over to the booth, and you say, I would like one of these.
Yeah.
And then the little card or bracelet that you have on scans off the point off that. So everybody has to be prepared for whatever's going to end up
right,
happening.
So you got to
bring
give away a lot more.
Hold on. This gets even better. Hang on. I'm loving this. So that's amazing. So you got to now. Are they compensating the manufacturers for this, or is this another added expense to the manufacturers?
A very minimal compensation, a small amount, and putting back onto my manufacturing hat, a distributor's hat at this point. We carry a brand that's a $30 retail cigar.
That'd be Anabay, right?
Right.
Yes.
And we don't even pass this out to retailers that come over that just want to try it or just trick or treat or whatever. We sit down with them. You want to smoke a cigar with us? Smoke it. It's a $30 cigar, and let's make a decision if it's right for your store or not. I got to imagine the consumer's going to go in there and say, I'm going to have a Davidoff, I'm going to have a Padrone Vassario, I'll have an Atabey and Byron, and they're going to pick higher end cigars. And a lot of these cigars that we have, there's only 200 boxes of this particular cigar made, or here's the new one for the year, and there's only 250 boxes of this being made for this year. It's all going to be gone because that's what they're going to want.
Just at the trade
show.
show.
To them, you can't have this. I'm the guy on Halloween that shuts my lights off
Right.
on Halloween, and I'm a bad guy for doing it. So there's no win for us.
Oh, it's a lose-lose because you're right. They're going to come in with expectations of that cigar, right? Yeah. And when they don't get that cigar and you give them something that's more moderate that you have plenty of that you may want to promote,
perhaps something in a
yes,
right? And they're going to be upset.
Then they're upset with you. So there's no win here.
And then I just like to see how it's going to work out too. When I'm not even going to mention any names, but when they get to the miracle number of 8,000 people, when certain manufacturers will be literally giving out 8,000 cigars, and they see the guy next to him will give out 10.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm thinking of.
Because if you're looking at 30 out of 250, the majority of them won't give out one cigar. The majority will not give out one cigar at this event. Wow. It just even went from a bad idea to a worse idea. I didn't even know this aspect of it.
Right, you're in the same boat.
Everybody gets the same 45, 46 cigars.
Correct.
Right? Now, they have to walk around. They walk to the table. They meet the manufacturer, the principal. The guy, there are certain guys who really abuse it, like hold up everybody because they would.
We're not going to mention any names.
Yeah, Scott Weeks.
He's listening.
And we won't mention any names at all, Scott Weeks. But
we love him.
Yeah, Scott wants to talk to everybody.
Every single guy, right?
Yep.
But it's an experience, right? But there are going to be guys now from the logistics and the math you're telling me that the majority of these vendors won't have to give away one thing. Because you're asking the consumers to pick their favorite 30 out of 200 plus exhibitors. Is this what I'm understanding?
Yep.
Oh, this just
whatever you want.
This just went bad.
Shop for what you want.
This just went from bad to worse.
It may be shop for a brand that you brought the people in, and they all want a brand or whatever for whatever reason. They take a brand that you don't carry. And now, are they directing you to say, and this is a major mistake for any retailer that, it's, again, terrible to end up saying out loud, but I'm going to say it, to let the consumer decide how to run your business and what you should be carrying, what you shouldn't be carrying, which is what is going to ultimately happen here at that point. Then you're forced to carry something, and then you do take that cigar in, and Abe, I'm sure it's happened to you that you've taken something in because your consumers say to take it in. Let's say some Lancero something, and you take it in, and the next thing you know, it doesn't sell at all. And here you are sitting on the boxes that this guy, I was dying to get it, and he buys a single cigar, and the party's over, and
right.
What are we doing?
Hey, they sold me on that Lancero dream like twice. I don't think I'm ever be talked into buying a Lancero for a consumer again.
But by the way,
you're better man than me because I went more than twice. That's for sure.
but by the way, Scott Weeks says that comment hurt so good.
Oh yes, you know he's laughing about it.
And so we have a lot of manufacturers watching right now, a lot. And Eric Espinoza said, partially as a joke, I think, but he did say, like, they should also try...
Did his comment start with bro?
No.
Okay, I was just curious.
I'm sure he said it.
Then it's not a true comment.
I'm sure he said it.
Yeah, go ahead.
But he said, bring the show to Miami. Everybody's already down here.
Yeah.
The trade show.
Yeah.
Well, listen
Make it smaller, make it less costly, sure.
Okay.
Bring it to the Dominican Republic. Turn it into a festival.
Because here's the problem. These kind of things require work. You have a volunteer board, right?
But for them to change where it is...
It requires major work. And let me
Right.
tell you something, and I've said this before, and I don't know if I ever said it on the air, so if I'm getting off topic, Paul, rub your nose, let me know. But I said before is, sometimes you, as an organization or even like a plant, right? If you trim a plant, right? You hurt it a little bit, you cut the trim, but it's for the better overall growth long run, right? I've said...
Right, it may be small for a year or two, and then it'll grow.
They should limit the booth sizes at the show, right? Oh, but that's our revenue. Yeah, but you know what? You make for a worse show, right? This footprint has quadrupled in my lifetime, right? I don't care how many people. The show's always going to look dead. It's going to look completely dead
because it's so huge,
and it becomes an ego show, right? Who's got the bigger booze now? This guy's limit the booze, make a better show, and you want to know what? You could do it in Miami.
Absolutely.
But all these things require effort and out of the box thinking, and unfortunately in life, people like to take the path with the least resistance, and that's what happens.
Yeah. Listen, guys, I would love to stay on. Unfortunately, I have to do my own show that starts in 10 minutes. But I can't thank you guys enough for having me on here, and I hope I added to the show.
It was a great
show,
Dave.
I gave you from the heart my feelings of it. I love the consumer. Yeah, if it's coming across that I don't, I certainly don't want that to happen. I love you. I want you. But I just need a few days a year to try to do my overall business. As far as the IPCPR goes, I love that organization. I served 6 years, zero pay, and a lot of heartache to go along with it. But I tried to do my best for the industry. I love this industry. I've done 34 years, and I hope to do another 34 years in it. I love it. I don't want it to come off across like that. And I know, Abe, you're the same way. We're saying something to actually be constructive criticism, to help this industry, not to hurt it. And I hope it comes off that way.
Well,
thank you guys for having me on.
Thank you, Dave. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Dave, thank you for being here. That's Dave Garofalo of Two Guys Smoke Shop. Make sure you check him out. On the Cigar Authority, Coop is still here with us. Koopaloop. Yeah, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Coop about his thoughts and more about this entire...
We're going long today, so everybody knows, right? So this show is going to go until we're done.
We're testing a new format, shorter commercial breaks, fewer commercial breaks.
Yes.
Fewer commercials, more action, right here on KMA Talk Radio. Keep it live.
You're listening to KMA Talk Radio. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
We're on Instagram, too.
Yes, it's mandatory.
Hi, this is Nish Patel from Rocky Patel Premium Cigars. I want to introduce you guys out to our Old World Reserve Corojo made in a Honduran facility. What a beautiful medium-bodied cigar. When you light it up, it's got a gorgeous white ash, and you get that sweetness from that delicious Corojo wrapper, a little bit of spice, and a lot of nuttiness. Go to your local brick and mortar, check out the Old World Reserve Corojo. You will not be disappointed. Again, what a delicious cigar.
In the heart of Santiago, Dominican Republic, on the rolling floor at La Aurora Cigar Factory is a section reserved only for the elite. Cigar rollers work for over 10 years to simply get the opportunity to make a historic cigar. Those cigars are La Aurora Preferidos, featuring 6 different wrappers in a perfecto shape. Take part in a legendary tradition that started the Dominican cigar industry. Look to the lion. La Aurora Cigars, king of the pride since 1903.
Looking for something unique and awesome? Smoke Oscar Valderas cigars. 2012 Connecticut, 2012 Corojo, 2012 Maduro, the Oscar Habano, the Oscar Maduro, My Way, and our latest creation, Oscar Valderas Cicerone Edition. A great cigar that comes in 5 different collectible boxes with an amazing exclusive artwork. Remember, Oscar has something unique and awesome waiting for you. Ask for Oscar Cigars in your favorite cigar shop.
Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust and its master ligador, Steve Saka, is crafting the very finest cigars available today. One such brand is his Sobre Mesa, a lush liga with a creamy core laced with abundant notes of cedar, cocoa, and cafe, which is punctuated by a Telecherry peppercorn retrohale, pleasing to the nose and providing the smoker a delightfully sweet, lingering finish. This cigar is a refined, balanced, and complex blend intended for the experienced palate. Ask your tobacconist for Sobre Mesa today.
Sakalicious.
With over 20 years in the cigar industry, Eric Espinoza has done it all. He began in retail, became a sales manager, developed and owns his own brands, and today is internationally known as a manufacturer of top-quality premium cigars. Nothing gives Eric more pleasure than to be able to make his own cigars for consumers worldwide to enjoy. Experience cigars made in the Espinoza way. La Ranja Reserva, Murcielago, 601, and Espinosa Habano, and Connecticut. For more information, visit EspinosaCigars.com.
Hey, fools, how about a game of Cutthroat? Your funeral. That's my kind of game. Arnold, I hope your pool playing is better than your choice of cigars. Here, try this Rick Loose cigar. You're gonna need all the help you could get. Hey, don't be stingy. Let me get one of those. Rick Loose. Wow, that's a good smoke. Now I can bring my A game. Hey, I think you should stick with that Rick Loose cigar and work on your B game because you don't have an A game, and I know a little something about games. Boom. Hey, sucker, go buy yourself a Rick Loose cigar and do it today.
Awarded the 2014 Nicaraguan Cigar of the Year with numerous 90-plus ratings, the Perdomo 20th Anniversary Cigar celebrates Tabacalera Perdomo's 20 years as one of Nicaragua's largest premium cigar manufacturers. Using only the highest priming tobaccos grown exclusively by the Perdomo family, the 20th Anniversary Cigar has a tremendous profile with layer upon layer of rich, elegant, complex flavors. Visit your nearest authorized tobacconist today and experience the masterful blend of these Nicaraguan puros. Now available in extremely limited edition pyramid size in sun-grown or Maduro.
Great and fun times are always made better with great food. Come experience the new menu by Rum Shack at the world-famous Spearmint Rhino in West Palm Beach, featuring exciting new and delicious offerings. Experience their 1-pound New York strip steak special for just under $15 daily until 10 p.m. Enjoy a fine lunch without breaking your wallet every Tuesday and Saturday from their $7 lunch menu. No matter the time or day, the kitchen is open till close at Spearmint Rhino, West Palm Beach.
Welcome back. You're listening to KMA Talk Radio. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
We're on Instagram too.
Yes, it's mandatory.
Oh, welcome back to KMA Talk Radio. I am Adam K. the Brewmeister. We are here broadcasting live. Nice little guitar riff in the background, as you can always say. With me, of course, Mr. Honest Dave.
Hello, hello.
And Paul.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hi, Paul.
Very nice of Dave to take time out of his busy schedule. And,
absolutely.
I mean, and he's going on the air now.
Yeah, he has their own studios. He's going on his show right now. And I'm going to try to get Dave in one of his trips because Dave goes to, DR, Nicaragua. Hopefully, when he flies through Miami, we come on and get him on the show.
Here. Yeah.
Come and do the show live in the studio.
Absolutely.
Love to have Dave on.
With the Atabay, is that like a... I've never heard of it.
It's a very boutique brand, very expensive, very high-end, Cubanesque. That's their marketing.
Do other retailers sell it or just him?
No, he has a United, I think it's called United Cigar Company. He has a group where he has brands that he distributes.
Oh, okay.
And so he may, Atabay is one of the brands. I'm not sure if he owns it or it's just one of the brands that he distributes.
Right.
But it's one of the ones he sells, and it's a very high-end brand. So it's up there with the Aniversarios or the Davidoffs in pricing. So
okay.
Yeah.
Coop is still on the line.
Yes, we have Mr. William Cooper here. Coop, how we doing?
Yeah. Doing well. That Atabay, it's made in Costa Rica, so there's a higher labor rate. And I've been to that factory where they make the Atabays. And they really do. There's a real intensive process in terms of the fermentation they do on there, and of course the packaging as well. So there's a lot that goes into. It's an expensive cigar, but there's actually a lot that goes into that one.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of comments actually on the Facebook page. Kevin Acuff is saying it's a great cigar. A lot of people say that they like it. So
legit. It's a legit cigar. It's expensive, but it's legit.
Right. I mean, look, a lot of expensive cigars. Most. I won't say a lot. Most of expensive cigars are pretty legit cigars, but the niche and the client pool that's going to be a regular smoker of that kind of cigar is small. So, you really have to have the market and the clientele of something to, I mean, that's a cigar that everybody might try once, and not even everybody will try once at that kind of price point.
Right.
But nobody's smoking boxes of that. I mean, very few people are smoking boxes of that on a regular basis. Yeah. So, anyways, Coop, thanks for being on. Always appreciative there, buddy.
No, I mean that was kind of a historic show. You think about it. You and Dave are like two, retailers who've kind of gone through this media world right now, and that was a little bit of history being made today. So that was great.
It was very, I don't know about surprised, but unexpected of a lot of the shock that I got. People who reached out to me when, like, is Dave really coming on your show? I'm like, yeah. I mean, we know each other, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And he exchanged numbers occasionally.
And he didn't hesitate at all. His responses, I would love to be on your show. It's
he
an
was
honor.
awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And look, even though Dave and I sometimes don't agree on things, right? We've sat on the board, a couple advisory committees together, right? And we don't always agree on things. We have a very mutual respect for each other. But Dave's like me. We're very passionate about the industry. My concern, and this is where I kind of, went off on you a little bit on social media this week, Coop. I agree with Steve Hernandez, who Steve Hernandez, who is a brother, I love him, is not a consumer or a manufacturer. So what or a retailer. He's neither of the three, really. So why does your opinion have that much weight?
Well, and I have a question for Coop, because Coop has mentioned many times on both his podcasts and here that the cigar media has kind of not gotten the kind of, and Coop, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but maybe not the kind of respect that you guys might deserve in the past, and things have changed, and I think when Abe was on the board, things have changed.
It's still not where it should be.
So how do you think that this is going to affect you, having the cigar con, having the consumers come in? Do you think it would be a positive change for you, or like I think you're probably going to get even more forgotten now in the back end there, because there's 8,000, could potentially be 8,000 people there.
Right, Paul, you nailed it on the head. I have a very concern about losing that first day, right? because there's the big events, right? And Abe's event, it's very hard for me to do media coverage at Abe's event because it's so crowded, right? I mean, there's lines that are going there, and I've seen what these guys have to do. And then you have, of course, Cigar International's one, which is even bigger, which I don't make the time to go because, again, I'm not going to get the time. When you have to get quality time with the manufacturers, right? And I don't necessarily have to meet with Rocky Patel. I can meet with one of his reps because, again, the way I'm doing it is more product coverage, trying to get photos and things like that. And we have asked as media for years, can we get early floor access so we can do some of the things like get the photos so we're not interfering with it?
You're right, not affect business, and yeah.
Right. And we've been told it's an insurance reason, okay? That's what we've been told.
Which is funny because I've seen Cigar Dave on the showroom floor early every time I've ever been to a trade show.
or Half Wheel can buy a booth space, and that changes the game. And I'm not begrudging them. They bought booth space. So if you buy booth space, you can get on the floor early, okay? Or if
there you go, Coop. That's your solution. Just buy a booth. You don't have an extra $30,000 laying around.
Right. I mean, I heard Charlie was on the Developing Pallet show the other night, and he was talking about the cost associated with this, and I couldn't justify an ROI like that.
Right.
Or I can volunteer to work for a manufacturer, and I can get on the show floor early. But media, for some reason, can't. Right. And if online media is not there, and the ROI suddenly goes, I'll be there next year. Right. I'm not going to say I'm not going to be there. If the ROI goes away, right, you know what's going to happen if the ROI goes away from everyone? They're going to go back to having, hopefully, that Cigar Aficionado or one of the print publications put one or two sentences about their booth instead of the depth of coverage. I was saying that I think online media may have led to the Consumer Day because guys like the Stogie Review, who really pioneered this video stuff, gave people glimpses of this trade show for the first time. Right. And kind of showed them the vibe of the trade show, the Florida trade show. I think guys like that might have actually led to people wanting to have a Consumer Day. But at the same time, those guys have been doing this for years, and they do a good job at it.
So you didn't answer my question, though.
What was the question? Okay,
I wasn't sure he was done talking.
We're all waiting. So, but what is your? I know, obviously, you don't know really for sure, but in your opinion, your hypothesis, how do you think this will affect the way the media is treated? Because obviously the consumers are on the side of the media, I believe, at least on our Facebook page right now, on the live feed, people are saying, well, they rely on the media to inform them on the products, on the stories behind the products, on the reviews. So, but having a Consumer Day like this is just going to limit your time even more.
Not only limit the time, limit his purpose.
Right.
Right? Because now instead of people, look, and Coop will tell you, I've been one of the guys that's embraced bloggers, vloggers, social media guys for a long time, right? Before they were popular, right?
Since back in the day when Saka had his site, right? I mean, wasn't he one of the...
those were boards back then. It was kind of different. It evolved into what like Coop does and a lot of guys do. And, for many, earlier shows, we used to have the Bloggers Corner where I invited a lot of these guys on the show, and then we just realized while they may be great bloggers, they can't really talk well on the air, and that segment didn't last too long. But... it's one of those things where, as a retailer, I love these guys because that used to be my burden, right? Guys would come in, what was it to show this year? And I'd have to tell the same conversation 100, 200 times to my customers when they would come in, which is, I don't mind. It's my job. I want to share it with you. But, after the 54th time, you're like, all right, here we go. They had this. They had this. They had this. I bought this. I've got this. This is coming in. This was great. Didn't care for the... This is great. When consumers went to them, it was, honestly, sometimes I go to them to get information. Yeah. I don't get, some of these manufacturers, and Coop will tell you, are awful in feeding information out. I've called manufacturers, you got this news release coming out? I read it on, Coop's page. What's going on?
And so, meanwhile, Coop had to beat them. Yeah. Coop had to beat them over the head to get the information, too. Half of them.
It's nuts. Paul, to answer the question, I don't think believe it or not, I don't think most of the media guys we're covering right now will drop. Maybe they'll lose one or two, right? But most of the guys I talk to, I think, will come back. Will it change the way the show is covered? I think it will, and that's going to have to be seen what happens. But I think right now I'm concerned about losing a day of coverage, and that can some of the volume can go down. So if companies are wondering why I'm not going to their booth, right? It's because they were too crowded on a Consumer Day to cover it.
Coop, I think the real question is do you think the relevance of your coverage will be diluted?
Yeah, about that.
Because it's not that mystique that you can't be there.
Not only that, but on top of, in my opinion, there's like really, I can count on my one hand, maybe two hands, I'll extend it to two, the reputable guys who are doing a phenomenal job for this industry as far as coverage, right? Which is not a lot. But now you're going to have 8,000, well, I mean, whatever the number is,
Thousands of
consumers
people
with videos, selfies, news, typing. I mean, basically what you're going to have is a day of basically every consumer blogging and talking about what's going on in the trade show floor. So does that dilute what the quality media guys like Coop and a lot of these other guys, you know, the Dojo guys, what they do? So I don't know. I mean, I think that's where it becomes maybe a little bit problematic or worrisome for a guy like you, Coop.
Yeah, I think for me a little less so, but let's say guys like Dojo this year who expanded to do more live coverage on the show floor.
And videos. And
video. That's the part that's going to hurt because now you're going to be competing with some of the consumer stuff in a very compressed time frame. A lot of stuff we do is a little more analytical and it's a little more detailed where after the trade show we cover a lot. So I think during the actual trade show time is what I'm concerned about. You know, a lot of companies will announce products, but they won't unveil it until the trade show, right? Until the trade show opens. So now if consumers are on there snapping pictures, they could be doing that before we're actually getting our stuff out there right now. And that's a concern we had. It was brought up at the press conference for the media as well. Like, you know, hey, how is this going to be rectified? That's why we've been pushing for the early access again, because I think that's something where we could do a really good job. We can give them good quality photography, get them the correct details. You know, I don't think consumers are going to have accurate details. And that's not, I'm not knocking the consumers because I think they do. You know, I think there's a part is the social media, but we're taking a lot of time to make sure that information, validate that information is correct before it goes out.
Well, yeah, you're professionals.
But no, I love the fact that a fan can interact and see that part. So I don't want to dispute that, but I don't think it should be a substitute for what we're doing, which is there's a lot more process involved with it.
But if I understand it right, your situation's got even worse now because not only do you not have early access, if I'm correct, you're not even going to be able to get on the showroom floor till technically the second day after the thousands of consumers have already been on the floor.
I don't. It didn't sound like that was going to be the case, but we don't know that for sure yet. And if that happens, then you're going to see that ROI become a serious problem where you may see some more guys drop off if they don't get that access to person.
And not only that, but in my opinion, it's a complete disservice to you guys who have been supporting this industry and creating some of the best content for what we do if they actually do that to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see a lot of the small guys really get hurt from this, too, unfortunately, because they're the guys who are cut off from some of this coverage just because of time constraints. That's where this is really going to hurt, where I think online media for the first time gave some of these smaller companies a lot more exposure than they normally would have had at a trade show.
No, absolutely.
Absolutely, 100%. That is exactly like a lot of these guys have made their name thanks to social media and other bloggers and putting things out there.
And then when aficionado calls them, they forget about us. That's the funny part. That's another story, yeah. Then we don't exist. When we did aficionado, we can't take your phone call. So that's the other problem.
Not like you want to name any names or anything, right?
No, nobody does that, right?
That's funny.
It's true. Let me tell you, it is very true. And it's frustrating, like more than anything, because then not only are we trying to call to get the information, no one's talking to this embargo window. And that's a huge problem for, if we want to remain relevant. If we're held off 2 weeks before we can say something, then we got to question if it's worth covering.
I agree.
So
I want to ask Coop this. Well, you got a question?
Nimish.
Go ahead. Okay, well, Nimish. What's up, Skinny? By the way, I just want to clarify out there that Nimish, Sock, and I have had this weight loss thing where we all met our goal. Mm-hmm. So I won't mention any names, but
you definitely made your goal.
I made my goal.
Yeah, early.
Absolutely. No, yeah, a week early.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just announce, if you haven't read on social media, that we have kind of went double or nothing now. Mm-hmm. We're going to continue our weight loss challenge for another 4 months. November 15th, there will be one definitive loser.
I thought it was November
8th. 15th is another event. Sorry.
Yeah.
8th cross. Thank you for correcting me. November 8th. I hope I didn't post 15th on social media.
You can
easily edit it. You said the 8th.
Okay, good. Yeah. So November 8th.
And Coop is rumor free, so he knows.
Yes. We will have a reveal event where one of us, and I'm basing this on the starting number of us reaching our goal, right? Mm-hmm. So if you fidgeted on that number, it's only going to be that much harder to reach the second goal, right? Because you're already starting at a deficit.
I don't know who you're referring to.
Nobody in particular. But
Suckalicious.
Wow. Okay.
Well,
Colin, IQ. I didn't say nothing. So somebody's going to come out of a limo in 100% drag. It'll be a Rocky Patel Dunbarton Trust, Steve
Here?
Saka. They'll be in one of our locations here in South Florida, and somebody's going to come out and drag. Losing
I
his
am
bet.
supposed to be away that weekend. I might change my plans.
So it's happening. So anyways, what did you reminded me with Nimish?
So
what did Nimish want?
Nimish just said, and a couple of people are agreeing with him. He said, "Why is no one talking about the money generated from CigarCon to fight the FDA and protect
Because
the
the money's
industry?
irrelevant.
That's why it was involved.
Because the money's irrelevant.
That's why it was
I
created.
understand.
We don't know the cost yet. I mean, that's the whole thing.
Here's the problem.
It's just going to generate the money. Yeah.
Right. The money's irrelevant because once again, and he's just trying to stir up stuff because I had this whole conversation with him a day ago, which he agreed with me, and now he's trying to post stuff. But let me tell you something. The money's irrelevant because here's the thing. A wise guy once told me you can't be at everybody's wedding, right? You need to pick a lane. What do you want to do? You want to throw a consumer event? You want to raise money for lobbying, right? Whatever money they raise, here's Coop. How many people do you think? Because, they're talking thousands here now, but just picture this. Dave was reluctant to think that he could get 50 people. Now, I'm gonna just tell you something. There are very few retailers at Dave's level in this industry.
No. Coop said that in his.
I can probably count
news.
on two of my hands. So if Dave's getting 50, and then you start adding all the Joe Blows, where's this 4,000 coming? Now, a lot of it may not be consumer based and local guys who will drive and want to be at the event, but the money that you raise, all right, you could raise in other fashions without destroying the show that you're trying to raise it for. If you don't have an IPCPR and you don't have a successful trade show that funds the IPCPR, then you don't have an organization. So then if you just want to create an event that wants to raise money for lobbying, then go out and make a cigar event every year in the middle of Vegas. It has nothing to do with a trade show. Run it. The trade show organization could run that event, right? Not during a trade show. And then that 100% could go through. And I bet you they get a lot of good manufacturers who would volunteer their efforts to help them organize it, who have experience doing it. It's just not well thought out. So you can't just say, because we hope to raise money that makes all these bad decisions okay. Doesn't fly with me, right?
Abe, you guys, from what I understand, they're not giving margins on these tickets to the retailers, right? So the way you sell, sales 101 is you have to incent your salesperson. Okay?
Absolutely, sales 101.
You have to incent your salesperson. So if you're trying to have an event with 100 people, okay, I get maybe not having the margin. If you're trying to get 4,500 people and you're not giving the retailer a reason to make some money on these tickets, I know they're trying them the cause, but still, it's a flawed idea. It's a violation of sales 101.
And that's the problem. Like Nimish keeps saying, "Why are you against this?" I'm not against it.
We're not against it. Yeah,
it's just a bad idea. And let me tell you something. When it falls on its face the first year, it'll have already done the damage. It'll have strained relations with the manufacturers, strained relations with the retailers. Consumers are going to be upset because it was a piss poor experience. And then what do you have? I just can't sit by and say, look. And this is the exact expression that I talked to Nimish about because he never knew about my roast idea. I said, you've all managed to paint this wonderful Van Gogh painting in front of you that you're all staring at and looking at and seeing how beautiful it is, right? But it's a false, it's a fake. It's not real. And then when I told him what my concept was, he said, well, yeah, I agree. That would be a way better idea. Well, there you go. You're looking at it through a perspective where you've convinced yourself that this is going to do great things. And I just don't think it was well thought out. And then it's just my opinion on it. It doesn't make me right, doesn't make me wrong. And like I said, I'm with Dave. I hope I'm wrong. But one of the things, and Coop knows, is what we do is we express our opinions. That's why there's people watching the show now, listening to the show. They want to know my opinion. And I'm not going to lie. That's my opinion on this. I think if you're a friend, I told one of our employees, I said, dude, whatever you're wearing, clone, stop wearing it. I told him yesterday in front of everybody. I said, well, what kind of friend am I if I'm going to let him smell like crap all day? That is some awfulness. And of course, after I spoke up, 3 or 4 other people said, yeah, dude, you got to get another cologne, right? But it's the way I am. I'm not going to let you...
Was he wearing patchouli oil?
It smelled like it, right?
I hate patchouli.
It was some weird stuff, but... that's the type of person I am, right? And I think that's why guys who follow the show like it, because they know they're going to get it. If Nimish tells me something stupid on the phone, I'm going to out him on the air on it, right? It's just the way it is. I'm not hurting anybody. I take criticism myself, but I just think it's a poorly laid out idea.
Abe, there were people that were saying to me, well, maybe you shouldn't make a big deal about this. Let it, but people are asking me for my opinion on this.
Right?
Of course, yeah.
And if we're not doing our job, if we're not giving our opinion on it, and I don't have anything against the PCA or former IPCR. I don't have anything against the people. I want to see this succeed. And right now, I have some real concerns about the path they're taking with this. And, I also just don't think they realized, how did they not, you remember the reaction, Abe, 5 or 6 years ago when they proposed this, right? How did they not remember that reaction from 5 or 6 years ago? And how did they not expect this to be what it would turn into?
Oh, so this was brought up once before? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
This was brought up. How do you think my roast idea came up?
It was out of this. Yeah.
This was brought up when I was on the board. I'm like, are you guys insane?
Right.
This is an awful idea. I said, you guys got to come. And of course, when you say that, the first thing everybody says is, well, what other idea do you have? Right? I said, okay, well, why don't we do something like this? And that's how it kind of all just started, right? I think that if we can make an epic gala, some spectacular event, that me as a retailer says, I'm not missing this event, right? My wife and I are going to go get dressed up to the nines, wear tuxes. We're going to go to this event, drink like rock stars, laugh, watch somebody get grilled over the coals, and have the best night out of all 5 nights I'm there, right? 4 nights I'm there. That's how
ended on a good note.
And ended on a great note, right? Yeah. After these 4 days of walking and grinding and talking, right? This is the thing I'm going to look forward to, right? Before I go home. This epic night, that's how you build a trade show experience, right?
So, Dave, I don't know if he talked about this earlier. He does an event, his anniversary event every year. Now, I've not been there, but he uses like a game show format, right? Yeah. And he brings the cigar celebrities in for this game show format. He's very successful at that, right? So I think there's a model that, that it could work in this industry at a higher level. I think it's a proven thing. People in this, they like connecting with these personalities. You'd sell 4,500 tickets immediately to something like that.
Coop, how many years in a row have you come to our event down here?
I missed 1 year, every year since 2012. I missed 1 year because I got stuck in Honduras.
So you could attest to the fact that we go to some length and effort to incorporate something different, something
every year.
Well, maybe not every year, but at least every couple of years, right? We don't like it to get stale, right? Because what we've learned is these events are experience driven, right? The awe, they're banking, in my opinion, too much money on the awe of, oh my God, I'm on this holy sacred land called the trade show floor. Oh, look at all these awesome hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of expo booths. And then what? What's your experience? To meet these guys? I mean, there are so many successful events. I'm going next month to the Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival, right? I'm going up to Colorado. There are so many successful that have been tested and are great formats for consumer experiences to go out and almost see every manufacturing industry, get a hell of a bargain for what you paid for, and probably, in my opinion, have 10 times of a better experience for a fraction of the cost, all based on this is the sacred ground that no one could ever touch called the trade show floor. I just don't think it's a sellable piece.
Here's the thing. I'll be honest. There is an awe of going on that trade show floor. I'm not going to lie to you.
I'm not going to lie to you, but what do you do after 30 minutes and that awe is over and now you're fighting to go see Carlito or your fan? When that all rubs off in the first 30 minutes, then what?
It does. Yes, I will agree. I mean, I remember my first experience walking on Bear, my partner. Who goes. There is something to that, but it's going to get old very quickly, is what you'll find. That part I will agree with. And you have to have, I think, if they're trying to recreate an event where you're just going to go and get cigars and they don't have a Great Smoke, and I'm not just saying, it's a full event. You have a weekend full of different events you could go to. There's activities. It's more than just going and collecting your cigars.
Because we had to adapt, right? Because it started out as a local event, and more people were flying in who loved the event. They would come back with friends, but then he would say to me on the side, hey, look, man, we love your event. It's a great event. It's an awesome experience. We come every year, but we fly in, we get a hotel, and everything's over in 4 hours, right? So we've had to, evolve and expand. And, it's just one of those things that the trade show floor, and here's what they haven't taken into consideration, right? I'm going to go on a limb, and, my numbers could be way off, but I'm going to say like 70% of these people are people who have already experienced an outside multi-vendor mega event.
I would agree.
So,
and they're going to expect that same
that's what
type
they're going to compare it to. And that floor does not make it feasible to match or be equivalent of these mega events.
That's a business trade show. It's business.
Here's the other thing we're kind of missing, and I wanted to bring up a while back, but we brought up the point that there were Dave mentioned 250 exhibitors were on the show floor. You and I have been to the trade show. Coop, you've been there many years. Normally, this is a 3.5 day show.
We can't get to everybody in 3.5 days.
Thank you.
Can't either.
This is the exact point I am trying to make here. How are they in 6 hours? How are they supposed to see 250 people? They're going to be lucky if they get to 50 people.
They're going to fight. No, you have to wait in line because they want to get their 30 cigars, right?
Yes.
And it's a shopping.
Yeah.
When I heard that, man, that just made it.
No. Like I want to bring that back up too. But
so now I got to get to the 30 people I want to get to, which are going to be of the 30 people. You know, there's going to be a handful that everybody's going to want to see.
Yes.
And when you got to wait lines to get that one cigar from that, you wait 2 hours to get that one cigar because they're not going to have 80 people giving out cigars.
No.
So
they'll be lucky if the manufacturers have one person there giving out a cigar.
Do you know what the footprint is for a manufacturer at our show when we got 45? A 6 foot, 8 foot, 10 foot section.
Yeah. And everybody has the same exact.
And that's all they get. You're talking about now a booth, technically, I don't know. Oh, hey. It's all right.
Colin.
But a booth, technically, some of these booths are, I don't know what, 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 square feet. It's like a retail store.
Yeah.
It's bigger. It's bigger. Yeah, some of them are homes.
Yes.
Logistically, the more I think about it, the more and more flaws I see in the whole program.
Yeah. 6 hours, okay, they're proposing. And if you say 30 booths, that's about 10 minutes a booth. That's not a lot. That's not a lot of ground. That's not a ground.
And what are you going to do to 4,500 people? You're going to tell them, okay, it's time to leave? Like,
oh, yeah.
And what if they don't get all their cigars?
If stock is holding court, you guys say 10 minutes are up. I mean...
I don't know. I may go next year just to watch.
Oh yeah.
I may go next year just to watch.
If they let you.
Bring my bucket. I'm a member. Bring my bucket of popcorn. Rent the recliner.
Let me.
Listen to me. I may buy a booth as an exhibitor and just have 6 recliners and sell my seats with popcorn just so we can watch the show.
I would absolutely be fascinated to watch.
See, I would too.
Oh yeah.
I would watch. You know what? Hey, Coop, I got an idea. You ready for this? Let me see.
Yeah.
All right, I got an idea. Ready? You, me, and a couple other guys should all get together. We should get build a little platform, put on our headsets, and do play-by-play commentary. Like we overlook the whole show floor.
have a higher booth so you can look around.
Do show floor, and we'll do play-by-play commentary.
Currently over by the Rocky Patel booth, there are 40 people backlogged.
Yes.
And over there in this left corner, nothing is really going on.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
We should really do that. Wait. I see Rocky. I see him. Oh, no. He's gone. He has disappeared in the crowd, people. We have lost Rocky Patel.
He has been overcome by consumers.
I think this could be fun.
Yeah. I'm in.
I'm telling you, we should do that. I might foot the bill for that. We should do it.
It would be.
I would watch it.
That would be more entertaining for me than to go to the show.
Yes.
Sadly enough.
100%.
Right? It's terrible.
It would be, but it would be a different view of the show. That's for sure.
And listen, we can get a couple guys to do field correspondence. Down on the floor. We have Charlie Minato down on the floor. Charlie, how is it down there? You know what I mean?
Sorry, Abe, you'll have to speak up. I can't hear you. It's madness down here.
There's 20 people near me. They're all waiting to try and get a Fuente.
They're pulling my hair.
I don't know what to do.
They're pulling my hair.
Binders and fillers are flying everywhere.
Oh, we've reached utter chaos on the show, Red. I'm telling you, I'm in for this. I love this idea.
This would be pretty good.
I love this. We can incorporate a couple of the other guys who want to be involved, and we can just make a huge media thing out of it. I think it would be awesome.
Get the dojo involved, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We have Eric Gunderson in Quadrant Run. How is the field? How are the lines up in Quadrant Run?
Help me!
Right? Oh, it's hilarious.
I'm in the far section, and I don't see anybody. I don't know where anybody is. Could someone please come get me?
There are no free samples at this booth. Breaking news, there are no free samples at this booth.
Exactly. So then we'll have them at booths where there's nobody there, and then they'll be at the Davidoff booth where there's 6,000 people waiting.
I'm reporting from the hookah territory. It's nobody really around. I'm kind of out here by myself. So.
We have just been blown off by the Ashton booth. We have just
Holy cow. Oh, my God.
Bombs are flying now.
Oh, this is hilarious.
Oh, my God. This is the best.
Anyways, do we have anything else to actually do on the show today?
Well, we have to do the asylum.
All right. Well, cool. Listen, pal, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks again.
It seems like we agree more than we disagree.
I think we're closer than we thought. Actually, now that we both heard each other.
Well,
but,
listen. Anytime I ever hear the statement that I agree with any of the Hernandez brothers, it automatically riles the hair on the back. How could you possibly agree with either?
Steve's he's a great guy, though.
Well, Steve is the one everybody loves.
Yes,
that's a fact.
I like Steve, man. He's awesome.
I said he's the one everybody loves. Pete's the stepchild brother.
Oh, stop! We love Pete. He's great on the show. I think Coop and Master Sensei were kind of just saying they have to do something, right?
They have to do something. This
Right.
show's dying. This show's going to be... If they continue the way they're going, there's not going to be a signature event in this country. Like I said, but I don't think what they're proposing is giving me confidence it's going to fix something. They have to fix this show.
Wow.
I do have one question, though, Coop, before we go. What was the one standout cigar for you from the show?
You know, there was a few, but right now the edge, I'd say, went to the Balmoral Nicaragua XO. Yeah,
wow,
really good cigar. Alec Bradley Gatekeeper, I think, was the other one I would say was good. A lot of people were talking about, and Baca. Baca lived up to its hype.
Okay.
I saw Skip was on Dojo last night.
He lives on Dojo. Skip just won't. You know what? Why don't you? Hey, Skip Martin.
Skip might be watching.
Yeah, he might be, but if he's not, somebody he knows is. Why don't you listen? Somebody seems like to do podcasts and call-ins like every other week. Why don't you just tell him to call in? See if he's willing to come on the show.
I mean, it'd be better if he was here, but all right, I'll offer it to him.
I mean, when we tell you he doesn't want to come here,
he says he's never in the area.
I mean, it's come in the area.
We'll get you a comfy chair.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, our guest next week is going to be flying in basically for our show.
Who's our guest?
Rist.
Okay, guys, Paul, make a note of this.
Yeah.
You have to talk Bitcoin. You have to get him and Abe to talk Bitcoin.
Bitcoin?
Oh,
yes.
Is he a Bitcoin believer?
Well, he follows it very closely, so I think you'll get some good opinions on it.
Oh, good.
Oh.
Yeah. I just remember when you destroyed that Bitcoin guy. But no, Ristay's a good guy.
Well, listen, I destroyed the Bitcoin guy who came on my show because he didn't answer any of my questions. I'd ask him a question, and he'd go in some vague dissertation about something, nothing that had to do with the exact question I'm asking you.
I was more confused about Bitcoin after he was...
Right? It was true.
That was true. I was there.
All right. Koopaloop, have a good week. We will talk to you next week. Take it easy, buddy.
Take care, guys. Thanks again.
All right. And with that, this week, we are going to see who belongs in a Cigar Insane Asylum.
Welcome to the Cigar Asylum.
Did you know I'm utterly insane? We all go a little mad sometimes.
I'm the king of my castle.
And reason cease to exist.
This week, let's see who belongs in a Cigar Insane Asylum, brought to you by the good folks over at CLE and Asylum Cigars.
You know, before we break into that, I just got to say, Cooper's really one of the guys who just does it right, right? You know, like he said, like, he doesn't have to suck him. He needs somebody who's going to give him the information that he needs to relay to his, fan base, his followers. So, mad props to Coop. I'm so happy he's part of our show and a contributor. And it's great to have him. So, just wanted to give him that notice out there. So, this week's Cigar Insane Asylum, brought to you by the fine folks of CLE and Asylum Cigars. This week's inductee needs a class parenting 101. Oh, is this you?
No.
Are you the inductee? Are you the inductee?
A class in parenting.
Okay, because you've taken multiple parenting classes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this.
Right. Police in Dixon City, Illinois. Thought I was going to say Illinois. No, I'm from Illinois. Said that they received a call from a concerned citizen reporting a white Audi Q5 driving down the road with children sitting inside a pool on the top of its roof. Really?
So an inflatable pool, kids sitting
Not
on
in
the
the
top.
back of a pickup, at least. It's on the hood.
On top of the hood of the car.
Of an
on
Audi.
the roof of the car, rather. Okay. On the roof of the car, driving down an interstate. Like, not just like...
Not a side road.
No. It's on an interstate.
An interstate road.
Wow. Jennifer A. Janice Yeager was pulled over when police spotted her driving on Illinois Route 2 with her two daughters, indeed, riding on top of the car inside the pool. Yeager told police that she drove into the town to inflate the pool at her friend's house, but had to use her two daughters on the drive home to hold the empty pool down on the SUV roof so that it didn't fly away.
There are so many
This
questions
again goes to my statement that people should be stripped away of the right to give birth when they're born, and then have to apply for a permit to have children, just so we know that they have a sound mind, right? Because what parent thinks that this is a good idea? Apparently, bungee cord couldn't have done the job. She had to use her two children pull the pool on the roof of her car. The police arrested the 49-year-old on 2 counts of endangering the life and health of a child, 2 counts of reckless conduct, and failure to secure a passenger between ages of 8 and 16. Yeager was briefly taken to Dixon Police Department where she was processed and released after posting bond. Needless to say, there's no reason to believe that she'll be carpooling with her children anytime soon.
Get it? Carpooling?
I get it. It was very funny.
I didn't write it.
I so hope that they take those kids away from her. Congratulations, Miss Yeager. You are this week's inductee and maybe lifetime sentence in the Cigar Insane Asylum, brought to you by the fine folks of CLE and Asylum
I just
Cigars.
have so many questions about the logic within all of that. It's like, you had to go to your friend's house to inflate the pool.
Well, it's one of those big pools, so maybe she didn't have a pump, an air pump to pump it up.
Wouldn't it just be easier to go drive and get the air pump and come back to your house?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Can I borrow the air pump and then bring it to my house to inflate said pool?
Holy moly. Once again,
Why did I buy an inflatable pool without a pump that I needed to pump though?
Once again, why people shouldn't procreate.
Yes.
Just saying.
100%.
You need a license to go hunting, license to go fishing, right? Ready to make a public child out. Just saying.
Yeah.
Some DNA should just stop.
Yes.
100%. Yes.
That's why Adam doesn't want to have kids.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm all for it. I'm a proponent of it. Proponent.
Let's all vote for it in the fall.
that should be our next poll question. Should Adam procreate? Yes.
Mm-hmm. We'll throw that in there. That'd be a good one.
There we go.
I can't imagine anybody would say yes.
Listen, I like the format of the limited breaks.
Yeah, it's great.
I think I'm going to let our listeners know who are still listening at this point. We're going to really work on a format. We're going to work in the next few months to develop something we could change the format of the show. The breaks just kind of break into the mood. Sometimes we're getting something good. I'm tired. We need to find another way to work the show. And that's one of the things, hopefully in the next 4 to 6 months, we'll really figure something out. We got a couple ideas that we'll work on and hopefully improve the quality of our show.
A great success. Always growing.
Always growing,
so
always
next
going.
week, Risty on? Anybody else on with Risty?
No, that's it.
All right.
He's got a CBD cigar that caused a lot of controversy at the trade show.
Yeah, it should be cool to have him on.
Got a couple of other brands that are well loved in the. I didn't actually know of his company, so there's a lot that I found in the research that he's got a kind of a cult following for a lot of his cigars.
Risty actually sat in my office a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, 2 years plus, because someone had brought his brand to my attention. He wanted me to try it and wanted my opinion. And one of the it's funny because look, I'm not saying I'm the most intelligent person, but sometimes people ask me for my advice. And I love when I give somebody what I believe is solid advice. And they totally do the opposite thing. Mm-hmm. Well, why bother me? Right? But one of the things I pinned him because he had the cult following he developed because he was selling directly to consumers.
Oh, really?
Right?
Okay.
He had a website. And I just said, look, I mean, you could do that because the money's better in doing that. But you got to pick a lane hard for any retailer that's going to take you legitimately if I feel that you're selling directly to consumers, mm-hmm. right? So I would pick a path and work on that. You want to sell directly to consumers, build that site up, sell directly online, build your base. But if your ideal is to be a traditional manufacturer, then you really got to veer away from being both, right? At least so directly, because we know a lot of people do it indirectly in our industry, right? And he's kind of done that, and you know what? He's done very well for himself, and he's blown up. So I like to believe I was a little part of that, that direction. So we'll see if I get any props for it next week.
I'll pat you on the back. Good job. All right, we'll talk to Risty of JS next week. Until then, and as always, keep it lit.
You're listening to KMA Talk Radio. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
We're on Instagram too.
Yes, it's mandatory.
Cigar Fairy's making round.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Keep it lit with KMA Talk Radio.